welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're just coming back from kind of the Thanksgiving break that everybody had. So hopefully everybody listening had a good Thanksgiving. Those of you that wrote into us from GameStop, I think some of you wrote back about your Black Friday. So we're going to talk about that later in the emails. But we're going to go ahead and kick off what we've been playing. So I think looking over this, I think I've played the most out of everybody.
Yeah, you typically do.
But I've done I've also done like a lot of jumping around. So I'm going to start with the newest thing that I've played, which is Evil West, because I wanted to at least see what it was for myself and talk a little bit. So I've played like the first 2 hours of it. It is, in mostly the best ways possible, it is a PS2 era game. So it reminds me of like, remember Gun? That era?
You're a big gun guy.
Big gun guy. It's very much like that. It's just a action-based game. You're a cowboy. It's an alternate like 1800s America. It is like cowboys versus vampires. And they kind of go through the evolution of it, but there's like actually a pretty deep lore to the game, which I was surprised about, at least from what I've played thus far. But it's almost like a Devil May Cry action game. You're chaining combos, and you have a rifle, you have a 6-shooter. Obviously, it's a cowboy game, and then you have like this weird like futuristic arm thing that you can punch with and do like crazy uppercuts and stuff. It's good. Like what I've played of it is really good and really interesting. I like where the story's going. There's like, it starts out, you're like running across some railroad tracks, and there's some big explosions and stuff that happens with that. There is also like some platforming to it. You have like a little like Indiana Jones type whip rope thing that you can kind of move from platforms, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And then you kind of, from that point, you get to like the underground. So it kind of develops the story of like where these vampires came from. And the whole point is like, you're going to take out these vampires that are trying to take over America. And when I say America, like, your base of operations is the fucking White House.
Oh,
so
okay.
like
Sure.
you just hang out there. There's a name to the organization that you work with. I couldn't remember what it is, but my only complaint thus far is because it is a PS2 era game. There's no real good save system.
Oh,
so,
it's all like auto saves and stuff.
It auto saves. So like, for example, I watched like 10 minutes of cutscenes last night. I was like, okay, good. I'm going to be good here. And I went to go quit out of the game. It's like, your game hasn't saved for 20 minutes. I'm like, oh shit.
Boy.
And so I just had to play through up to like the next cutscene, and then it saved. I was like, okay,
weird.
So that's my only gripe, because like it's 2022. You should have a manual save option.
Every game should have that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm playing on the Series X. It looks really good. It runs really good. It's performance mode, so I didn't see any problems or anything.
No like frame dips or anything.
Nah, not at all.
Okay.
And I mean, there's some like at the beginning, there's like trains fucking exploding, bridges are coming down. Like there's plenty of opportunities for frames to drop.
Okay.
So, and nothing dropped. It's good. I would tell you, like, it's a good half price game is what I would tell you.
Yeah.
Like when it's like $30, it's a good, this would have been like back in the day, something I would have went in the store and rented and had a good weekend with it.
Yeah.
It's the type of game it is.
That's what I miss most about renting stuff is like, sometimes I just want to try a game for a couple days. And like the cost was $8.
Exactly.
You can't do that anymore. When
and I think this is a perfect example of that.
Right.
So I can't imagine it's very long.
A game you'd like to play, but like you really don't necessarily want to invest in.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, obviously the biggest one is God of War Ragnarok. When I talked about it last week, I think I was at like maybe the 8-9 hour mark of it. I'm about 15 hours in now. I will say I gave a lot of praise to it last week for its like kind of reserved and relaxed storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
That has gone the other direction for me now, where and I actually had to reach out to another mutual friend of ours who's completed the game, and I just asked him like, man, is it just me, or like does this game just drag at a certain point? And he told me, he's like, no, it does definitely drag for a little bit. So, and that's the part I got. Cause like you do a whole section where you play as his son, and you meet up as this one character who literally has one purpose in this game, which is to give you something for the character that you are in the game, for the events that are going to happen in the game.
Okay.
And that's it. You're never going to speak to this character again. Like, it's very well like said over and over again during this sequence, which is like 3 hours long between you and this girl. It's like, you're never going to see me again. I just need to give this so, this prophecy comes true kind of a thing. But you literally spend 3 hours doing fetch quests with this chick. And I'm like, that's what kind of dragged. Like, it got to the point where like the entire Thanksgiving break, I didn't play this game. I put it down and was like, I'm just going to play other stuff because it's like, this is kind of boring to me right now. Which it's not something I thought I was going to say about God of War of all things. So, I pushed myself to get past that part. After that part, there's another section where you play as Kratos and somebody else that's not your son. And that's a little bit better. But now I'm back into playing as the son again, but they're pushing the Ragnarok part of the story, which, like, again, I'm 15 hours into this game. I can't tell you what Ragnarok means in this universe.
Okay.
They just keep saying this big thing that's going to happen. So, but I don't know 15 hours in, and that's worrisome to me.
A little weird. Yeah.
So, but the combat is good. The visuals, like I said, it's one of the best looking games I've ever played. Hands down. It's a true next gen experience. So, I'm gonna try and power through it. So I'll, have a final verdict on it next time we record. But I'm still playing it, so my opinion might change next time we record, but I'll be done with it. Yeah. I keep mentioning it. I keep playing Vampire Survivors. The only reason I left it on the list this week is because I played a lot more of it. I'm like, so I thought there was only 6 levels. There's a lot more than 6 levels in that game, because once you hit the 4th level of the game, it opens up even more. Now there's a card system where you can unlock different cards that manipulate how your runs are going to be. Like, this is like, I've played 20 hours of this game, and now I'm getting...
And that's a new system?
Yeah, I didn't even know this existed. I went through, like, each level has a character that's trapped in a coffin that you have to unlock. I have one chick now. I don't know. I'm never going to remember the names of these characters, but her attack is vertical instead of horizontal that you start with, and it just destroys. She's, like, the most OP character in the game now. So, but there's like I found a hidden level in the game now that literally you just run through it to earn gold to unlock stuff.
Okay.
Oh.
So, but you have like 15 minutes to kind of do it, and then the Grim Reaper comes and kills you. You can't really stop that. So, and if you're playing as a character, some characters have like automatic revives. So, like, for example, this chick has 2 of them. So if you play that level and you get to the point where the Grim Reaper comes and kills you, you get revived, killed again, revived, killed again. Like, right away.
That's good.
I don't think they thought that part out very well, but like,
just one of those things that happens.
The card system is cool, and I'm just like, I'm 20 hours in this game. Again, this is a $5 video game.
Yeah,
that is deeper than a lot of games I've played this year. So, again, I still can't recommend enough. It's on Game Pass. It's $5 if you don't have Game Pass. Like, it's definitely worth it.
Fantastic.
The other game that I tried. Actually, today I tried to play it yesterday, but it was down for maintenance. Is Gundam Evolution, which is a free to play. It's basically Overwatch with Gundam.
I remember that.
Ago.
Yeah.
And I had originally tried to play it a little bit of it on PC, but then I saw this coming to consoles. I'd rather play there. It's good. But I'll say it's literally Overwatch with Gundams.
That's exactly what it looked like.
It's exactly what it is. But I'd say, considering all the garbage I've heard about Overwatch 2, maybe it's worth checking this out for people that like Overwatch. So,
maybe.
But like, I'm not a huge anime person, but I've always liked Gundam. So it's cool to see all the different Gundam suits in here, and they're all different roles, like Overwatch characters.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
But it's totally free to play. The thing that's interesting, they do, like, I don't feel like any of the microtransactions are really manipulative, but if you want to play ranked right away, you have to buy the battle pass. Otherwise, you have to level up by playing casual matches to like 10 or something, which that doesn't really bother me. So other than, I mean, it has a paid battle pass, but that's how these games work.
Right.
But I think it's really good. So what I played of it, it runs really solid. At least I played it on the Series X. So definitely worth checking out if you're someone who liked Overwatch 1, now can't play that game anymore because they shut it off and just turned it into Overwatch
made the whole
2.
Thing a mess,
maybe you don't like Overwatch 2.
Garbage.
So. The last thing that I played a little bit more of last night, I played it co-op with my girlfriend, is Goat Simulator 3. I don't really have much more to say about that. It's just, if you like the original Goat Simulator, it's just more of that in a larger open world.
Mm-hmm.
more chaotic. And I'll say playing on a next gen system split screen, it still runs at 60 frames, at least with 2 people. So, nice. Which is really nice because when I first load up, I was like, oh man, if this is like 30 frames, it's going to be a bummer. No, it's 60 frames. It worked really well. Again, are there glitches in the game? Absolutely. It's like Goat Simulator.
It's Goat Simulator.
Like, it's supposed to have problems and glitches. Like there was one point, there was some kid levitating with rockets. I had my goat lick him and then we both blew up and I fell out of the map. Like That's supposed to happen.
That seems like a feature. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's all I really have to say about Goat Simulator 3. Like if you like the other one, it's just more of that, but co-op. So, and I think the co-op part of it actually plays really well. So,
gotcha.
That's kind of everything I've played. I will turn it over to you, Dan. You can talk about what you've played.
I mean, I really haven't played anything like new that I kind of haven't talked about before. It's mainly, Star Ocean trophy cleanup stuff, which in this game, it's a pain just because there's one specifically one that like takes forever. And it's like, you have to, the crafting system in Star Ocean has never been, I would say like great just because it has such an inherent sense of randomness to it. Like the entire thing is just completely random. And this one, it's a little more manageable because it's, you don't necessarily have to rely on having multiple people leveled up to like work together as you had to do in some of the past. Like in this one, it's really, you just kind of like pick a person, pick a style of crafting you want to do, and then pick a material and then hoping you get the right outcome. So you have to get 90% of everything made, which
so it's not a full 100%.
That's not 100, which I can't even imagine 100, but like 90 is pretty bad because it's basically just spamming create and like
and hoping
it works. Gotcha. So it's kind of a pain. I had to dig out a checklist, and it's since the game hasn't been out super long, none of these checklists are super complete. Yeah. So stuff that they say works doesn't. I found my own stuff that does work, and I have to kind of like make these little notes. And
keep you say that was the last trophy you have now?
This is the hardest one left, and I need to do it on this playthrough because I still have one more playthrough to go
That was
through.
My next question. I was going to say, it doesn't carry over if you tried to start again with the other character?
I don't know, but there's no point to wait. I should just do it now because I've already kind of abused the crafting system to a point where my main character is now max level, which is like 255 in this game because you can synth items together.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem with the crafting is 90% of the materials you could just buy from certain shops. And like, further in the game, they sell better stuff and all this stuff. But every category has like one ingredient that you can't buy.
Okay.
So you have to go farm it, and you have to find the right places to farm it. And farming stuff isn't even a problem. It's just like you have to go do it. So, and then like all of the best weapons in the game are locked behind hoping you get lucky off of crafting one item, which is something that you can't buy. So you have to go do it. Other than that, like the beat the game on certain difficulty stuff is fine. I still have to beat like the final super hidden boss, and you have to beat her 3 times. But again, you can just kind of synth equipment yourself to make stuff that is broken. Like the crafting in the game is broken. It just takes forever. So I generally just like watch something on a different TV or listen to a podcast while I'm just mashing X for the most part to get this done. Again, I actually really like the game more than I thought I would, but as a trophy person, this is starting to track it down.
Are you enjoying it more than the 361? That's the last one I played.
Yeah, I think so because this is more streamlined. Like it's not as I do like the exploration and stuff of the other one, but
sure,
having the battles not have to transition into a battle screen and like the robot being able to like fly around and stuff kind of just makes everything quicker. The storyline is kind of whatever because like I talked about before, it just twists and turns for the sake of twisting and turning.
Right.
But yeah, I think I enjoy it more than the last one. I never finished at 361. I kind of want to go back and do it now, but
they made there's a remaster of it.
There's a 4K like remaster of that. So I might do it at some point, but yeah, I mean, Star Ocean, this is the kind of thing where I need to finish this and then do a run through as the other guy just as quick as possible because now I know how I can break the game super easy early on, so it's fine.
Also, like who knows when there's going to be another Star Ocean?
I don't know. Like
I've heard nothing about like the sales numbers for this one. Or
I can't imagine they're great, but they're probably
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Because the important thing is it was also on PS4 in Japan, and that's where it was sold.
And like, and sometimes things sell more than you think they do. Even and sometimes like it doesn't have to be Square Enix releasing Tomb Raider and saying 3 million copies isn't enough.
No,
other
right.
games have different sales targets. Like I read it just as like an aside. I read a good thing today because I obviously I played a lot of Digimon Survive and did like the platinum for that. That game sold 500,000.
Yeah,
which is probably more than I thought they would have. So
yeah.
We'll get more Digimon stuff, which is good
for sure.
Yeah, other than that, the only other major things I played were I've been playing more Lego Indiana Jones 2 through like the streaming service, man. That streaming service on Plus sucks. It's so bad.
I'm sure.
They can't even run Lego Indiana Jones 2.
Jesus.
Does it just drop connection?
It's crashed. It's crashed multiple times.
Okay.
While saving, and I'm always like, I swear, if this thing deletes my save, I'm going to be pissed. But it's to be fair, every time it's come back, it's been fine. Sometimes it just pauses, and then you sit there for a minute, and you'll get a notice on the screen that says, "This game might have crashed. Do you want to close it?" And it just sits there, and you're like, oh, "Well, do I have a choice? I don't think I have a choice." Or every so often, the quality on it just goes way down.
Yeah,
where it's like 480, and it says,
"Okay,
having some trouble streaming this right now." So I don't get how. It's just such an awful service. Like even when it's working properly, there's screen tearing and all this other stuff. I mean, Lego games. To be fair, Lego games in the past used to have screen tearing, but
absolutely.
I just don't get how on a hardwired, relatively fast internet connection, this can't run a PS3 game properly.
Right.
I just want to play Indiana Jones 2 Lego.
You might as well just pull out a PS3 and
it might be better.
Yeah.
But I just it's disappointing. It makes me not want to ever stream stuff through this again. And if it can't run a Lego game, how could it ever run anything that's like action packed of any kind?
Exactly.
And then the only other thing really I played a lot of was Marvel Snap had their update.
Yeah,
it tweaked a couple things, added some more cards, broke some stuff in the process, but to their credit, they got it fixed pretty quick. And then compensated people for it, which is good.
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
They introduced like the token card shop where like cards you don't have will kind of rotate through this shop every 8 hours, and you can use a different form of currency to buy them.
Okay.
Which is important to note that it's a currency that you can't really buy, so it's still not like pay to win. You could buy the $100 card pack thing they have right now, but that's for like a special version of a card. But that's for the whales. It's not for the people who are playing it normally. Yeah, this this season pass is almost over, or this battle pass is almost over, because it looks like it's going to be at the rate of like one a month, which $10 a month is a decent amount for a mobile game. But I was telling a friend of mine, this game really scratches like a TCG itch, like collecting cards and making decks and playing stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And if you think about having to do that in the real world, with like if you wanted to play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, how much am I spending a pack?
Exactly.
How much are people spending on Pokemon cards a pack?
Aren't those like $4 now?
$4, $5 sometimes. So if I'm paying $10 a month and I'm playing hundreds of matches a month, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
No, not at all.
I don't have a problem with it yet. There's going to be a point where I just like, I don't know if I can, the first one was Spider-Man related. This one was Black Panther related. I would assume that they're going to try to do stuff that's like,
they'll do an Ant-Man one when that comes
they'll do
out.
an Ant-Man one, and they'll do a Guardians one, and like, it's smart obviously to tie that stuff together. So we'll see, but there's going to be a month where I don't care. But they added, I think 20 more cards, and they've introduced more like a tier system where like some of them are rare, and then some of them are super rare right now. As the game goes on, they're going to knock some down. They did some balance stuff, which is kind of a bummer because they ruined a card I use, and it's not really worth it anymore. And then some of the stories going around about that game are how you can break it really bad, where effects will trigger 16 times and it'll take forever.
Yeah,
they nerfed one of those cards in that update, but then now there's of course the new meta comes out with. If you have Wong and White Tiger and Ironheart and Odin, and like Black Panther, you can make Black Panther have a power of over 600,000 when
Holy
authority
cow.
is high. So like there's always going to be something that breaks it. But I think that's part of the game that makes it fun, is because it's so random. Like it is
Right.
stupid shit happens constantly in that game, and it's fun though. Like even when I lose, I'm like, just let the fuck happen. But it's fun. Yeah. So that's another game. Like I said, I play a couple dozen matches a day because
has that overtaken Supercard for you? Like,
yeah, Supercard is like a check-in daily, just so I get my check-in.
Okay.
I mean, a Supercard had an update where they added new tiers of cards and
I saw that, yeah,
all that other stuff. But like the weird part about Supercard is generally like the season rollover is a good time to get back in. This one, they're releasing the new card stuff too quickly. Like they already put the second tier of the new cards in the Fusion Center. So like you can already have the second tier of cards making them right away. So
because I assume it was probably beginning of November when they
it used to be stretched out where like it would take a couple months before you'd have that ability, and it's already.
I don't know why they would rush that. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's weird.
I guess maybe overall player count is down, but as long as there's still people playing it on Twitch or whatever and spending hundreds of dollars a day,
which I'm sure there are.
I think
I'm assuming there are people on Twitch that play Snap, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, it's on PC.
Okay.
So
that's right. Yeah,
it's even easier. I've watched some people play Snap just because it's fun to learn new techniques and new decks. And
for
stuff.
Sure.
And, like
there's a lot more. There's a lot more strategy to that game than Super.
Yeah, you have to learn how cards work together.
Exactly.
So, I also like to embrace the chaos in that game where cards are like, we'll randomly give you another card, or we'll randomly do this, and like sometimes it's just fun to see what the game pulls.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bit deeper level of me being interested in the game because there's in Supercard it's pick the one with the highest number. That's just all it is. This one you have to think ahead, and like now I play a deck called like a move deck where the point of it is to move cards around, and certain cards will move cards around and then they'll gain different powers and all that kind of stuff. And those can get nuts towards the end. So Snap is great. It's probably the best mobile game I've played in a long time.
Yeah.
But that's it for me.
Well, Matt, I'm not going to cut into what you've been playing, but you played something that I was interested in playing, and then you said it maybe not play that right now.
Garbage. It was hot fucking garbage, man. I was so pissed off. So what he's referring to is this game I saw. It looked pretty interesting, like just like the front
Game
pick,
Pass.
the cover pass pick. I was like, well, that looks pretty cool. So I downloaded it and I attempted to try it out because I was like, you know what, I could maybe give into this. It looks like a little hack and slash. I could do that. Gungrave Gore, or Gungrave Gore, whatever it's referred to.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the opening scene of this game was super badass. So your main character comes flying in a fucking coffin, and it was like so cool.
That.
Like he just comes shooting through the sky, and like there's this like mercenary team. They're on this boat and they see this thing coming at them. And of course, they just sit there and stare at it. Don't do anything. Just sit there and stare at it. So this guy comes shooting through the sky. His coffin slams into a person, explodes the whole body. I was like, well, this is starting off pretty entertaining.
Exactly.
Let's keep going. Dude jumps out, shoots one dude in between the eye, and then I'm like, okay, let's get it going. This looks kind of crazy. It was hot fucking garbage. I was so disappointed in this game. The way you said Evil West, like it plays like a PS2 game, this one plays like a PS2 game.
In a bad way.
But in a bad way. Like, I don't even know what game to think about it in. Like, I played the first level, and it wasn't even like hack and slash. So the dude has two guns and his coffin on his back, and like he utilizes he just runs around the fucking back. So, but he utilizes the coffin kind of like a sword. So like you would kind of like use it as a sword. He like bashes on stuff, but like it doesn't really do anything. Like when you're hitting somebody with the coffin, it's like it's more stunning them than it's actually killing them. You actually have to shoot them with the gun.
He just carries his coffin around with him.
I didn't even get that far.
Okay.
And now I'm at the point where I'm like, man, like I want to know a little more about what's happening, but I really don't want to put myself through playing this game.
So you say it's basically like a bad Devil May Cry.
It's a
Basically how it
horrible
plays.
version of Devil May
Okay.
Cry. Like the aiming system is kind of off.
Okay.
Just there's just not a lot of it that's fun, and like Devil May Cry games, I mean, I like playing those games for the combos, like, how many times can I knock people around and get the,
Yeah.
whatever. But like in this one, I was just like literally running around shooting people, and it's like, 8 hits, and I'm just like, I didn't even really hit nobody. I just shot him, and like,
Yeah.
nothing's happening. The coffin doesn't do anything. He doesn't do a lot of moves in the beginning.
Okay.
So play that game with a don't go in expecting a lot.
But I mean, the thing that we were saying earlier, like when I kind of wish this was the same for Evil West, is like that at least is on Game Pass. You dipped in, it's not very good. You can dip out. Like money wasn't really lost there,
I'm definitely fucking dipping out because I just no, I'm not doing it. But I mean, yeah. So like the way you described Evil West, like I saw it when I saw it, I was like, okay, I really want to check this out. And when I messaged the both of you about it, and you were like, "Oh, I actually bought that," I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna wait till Kyle plays it because he's gonna tell me the truth and let me know what's happening." But yeah, it's just not. I don't find it very fun. The opening scene was just it was so good that it just really let me down. Golly, man, I was so upset. But along with that, I jumped back into Scorn.
Yeah.
And now I'm at this point where this dude had so he's got his weapon, which I don't know if you made it that far, but you get like that hydraulic little. Okay, so the weapon had showed up earlier in the game, and it's kind of like a hydraulic bone arm, where like kind of ejects like a little bone to kill or stun things. Okay. And now I'm at this point where there's like these little worm creatures that are coming at you, but the downfall to the game is the hydraulic arm shoots really slow. Okay. So it's not like you can go up and just it's like a and you gotta like back up and like move. But the downfall is there's no run button in Scorn. So there isn't. These things spit like acid. So you like literally like have to hit them and then just like shuffle back as quickly as you can. So I died, and then I was just like, I'm gonna have to come back to this in a different way. But that's where I'm at now in Scorn. So I'm gonna try to play through that because I every time I pick it up, I seem to find something new, and it seems kind of fun. I played more Vampire Survivors like you did. I'm nowhere near where you're at, but I'm excited to get to that point now that you've been talking about it. It sounds like fun, man.
It's crazy.
And I jumped back into a game I talked about a couple episodes ago called Phonotopia, I believe, for Switch.
Oh, okay, I was going to say a Switch game.
Yeah, it's a Switch game. And the only reason I turned it on was because I know Switch had cyber deals this week. And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe there's something I can pick up. And when I loaded my Switch up, it was like back to the starting point of where I was in that game. So I was like, you know what? Let's just play a little bit of this. And I'm not sure where I'm at. Like, I know it's not too far into the game, but it's like at first you were told by your parent to go pick up the other kids for dinner. And somehow I went from picking up the kids to dinner to now I'm in this temple where I'm trying to like fight my way out of this temple.
Yeah.
Because one of the kids was like, oh, we should go explore that. And my character was like, okay. And I was like, why would you do this? Like, what sense does that make? So, but I mean, jumping into it though, it's actually a lot more fun than I expected. So I'm going to try to play more of that too. But that's it. That's what I rolled into. A very disappointing game, and then a couple of entertaining ones. So,
I picked up Skyward Sword on that Best Buy. Like they're doing their like 12 days sale.
Yeah, I had that. I think last.
And I've never played Skyward Sword. It's the only Zelda game I've never played. So I'm actually going to look at that at some point here. I'm sure because I think they took out all the motion controls, right? Like you can play it normally.
Yeah,
this version, right? Like you can do motion controls. But okay. And that was the reason I never played Skyward Sword, because I couldn't
Makes
get
sense.
past the motion controls in Twilight Princess. So
Yeah,
Um,
I hated Twilight Princess on Wii when it came out. I was like, man, I really should just bought the GameCube version.
that's a GameCube game.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna look at that at some point, because I mean, again, that was down to $30, and like Zelda games never go that cheap. So
Yeah.
The
that's
only
fairly
time they
fair.
ever do is around this time of year, and it's
Exactly.
and it's rare.
Yeah, I saw
I
Switch
would've
had
done
that
it.
game. Go ahead.
No, I said I would have done it if I
Oh.
hadn't done it last year. But I didn't.
yeah, you did last year. I think
Yeah.
at 40. So
I was tempted to
What-
buy that
was
game,
it-
Cult of Lamb.
I'm tempted to, but I
looked
just
pretty
feel like the
interesting.
minute I buy it, it'll hit
It's-
Game Pass.
Or
So
I, or, I
that's why I
feel
don't
like,
do it.
or I feel like at some point it goes on sale a little bit, but not.
Not
Not
at the sale I
enough
want
yet.
it to be.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Where it's like, okay, $10, I'm in. Like,
yeah.
well, I actually just, that's a good example. I just did my girlfriend. She's been looking at a game that's on the Xbox called like Rainbow Billy and something. I can't remember the full title. It's like Rainbow Billy and some like color escapade or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game where it's in black and white, and then you're restoring color to the world.
Okay.
That's what it's like, a platformer. And
Yeah.
she's been looking at it for a while. So I was like, oh shit, it's $10. So I was like, I'll buy it and let her know. You know, I bought it literally the next day. Hey, here's the games for Game Pass in December.
Yeah.
It's one of those games.
Man.
So I was like, okay. So, well, we own it. But that happens. It literally happens every time I buy a digital game, or I'm like, okay, it's a good price, and like it's on Game Pass now. So, but anyways, we can jump into the news. There's not a lot of news this week, which is not a bad thing, because we're going to go through our Game Awards predictions this episode.
Well, I think
So
that's
we'll do
another
that.
reason why there isn't a lot of news. Is
You're
because
gonna
a lot of it's getting
next
saved.
week.
right.
Yeah.
Next episode, we're gonna have a ton of news to talk about. First thing I just put up at the top, I'm sure you've all seen it now. There was the second Mario movie trailer, kind of random, that they just, I think was it the same day or was it the night before? They were like, hey, we're gonna put this up tomorrow.
They,
Like, it was
they
really-
announced like the day before that there was going to be a direct for it the next
I don't know
day.
Like, I don't know what the purpose of a direct for a movie trailer is at this point, but
They just want to
first one I
control it.
understood.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just Nintendo.
Yeah.
Again, I still think it looks good. This trailer, again, I still couldn't tell you what the overall story of the movie is, which is fine. I don't need to know what the story is going in, but this is the trailer where you got all the voice acting, so you know who sounds like
yeah.
what. You got Luigi, who I like. That's the person I would complain about. He just sounds like Charlie Kelly or Charlie Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think he'll be fine as Luigi, but when I go
I
see
think
that
he
movie, I'm going to be
fits
thinking
more.
of Charlie from It's
Yeah, but
Always Sunny.
I would argue he fits a cartoon
Luigi?
character / Luigi more.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Peach was fine. Her
She
voice
sounded
is
great.
her voice is a little off, but it's also a different kind of Peach where it's not just she's in trouble, like she's going to go fight and stuff.
No, she's kind of
smart.
badass here.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
cool. Toad again sounds great. Bowser
Sounds great. They show Donkey Kong here.
Donkey
who I
Kong.
guess is done by Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I had to look it up after because I didn't know that.
He looks a
he
little
sounded-
different than
He
normal.
looks a little
but he's
different,
fine
but he
too.
sounded fine.
Yeah, it seems cool because they're pulling in Mario stuff from every era. Like there's
Oh,
a Mario,
there's
there's
Mario
a Mario
Kart.
Kart sequence.
There's Mario
like-
Kart in this movie on Rainbow Road.
Yeah, it's just going to be super fun. I showed it to my kids; they're both amped. My son has never been to a movie theater yet, so like that's going to be
Oh,
his
really?
first time.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
he's excited for that. And, like that's a perfect movie that will keep his
That is a
attention.
perfect movie for
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm excited. I do think there are people out there that are too excited. Like maybe like maybe pull it back just a tiny bit, but like it's
Yeah.
not going to change your life. It's just
Mm,
it's the Mario movie the way it should be done. So I'm excited.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not. All I'm gonna say is like I'm not like pissed at this Chris Pratt stuff. I just don't think for him to come out and say it's a voice you've never heard before, and then it just sounds
That
like
was the
him
problem.
hanging out. Like it's don't
And
lie.
see, the
about
thing-
it. Like
The
it's
thing
just,
I would say about that is like it didn't matter. Besides Charles Martinet or what I think
Martinet.
that's his name,
Yeah.
Martinet. Besides him, which I don't think he could do a 90-minute movie in that voice. I just don't think he could.
I don't know, man.
But anybody you pick to play the role of Mario was going to get scrutiny. The reason I think it's higher for Chris Pratt is because of that dumb comment he made. It's
that.
going to be like, I don't like anything you ever heard. Yeah, because it's just you
No,
playing
because
yourself as Mario.
the bigger problem is he's not a bad voice actor. He was fine in the
I
Lego
don't know.
movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is Mario sounds like Emmett from the Lego movie. because you're not
I can see that
changing anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as a voice actor, you need to be able to do that kind of stuff. And it just seems like they either just did it because he's a big name.
Even Jack Black.
Yeah, even Jack Black sounds
good,
like himself,
Yeah.
but also like Bowser at the same time. And
Exactly.
I think Luigi, I think for the little bit you heard, I think as it goes more on, it'll sound like him and Luigi at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard for me to not hear just Chris Pratt or Emmett from the Lego Movie the whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the only downside. But I don't care. I'm going to love the movie. It doesn't matter.
They showed Yoshi's in that trailer, right?
They showed a whole
I
bunch.
didn't
of them.
dream that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I thought.
But yeah, I already told you,
I'm-
like, I can already write you the review for this movie if you'd like from every video game site. It's just 10, 10, 10, 10,
Oh, it's
10.
gonna be.
10, 10 and a half. Somebody's gonna
I
do
think-
something.
I think it will. Obviously, I think it's going to do spectacular when it comes out. I think it'll break whatever. Because what's the record for April? I think is held by a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, it'll get
But
close
I
to
think
that.
this will get close to it or break that. So I think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But-
For sure. And one plus, like I said,
Anybody and
know,
everybody's going
a Fast and the Furious movie I'd go see, and that'd be one ticket, but now my whole family's going to go see this. It's 4 tickets.
Exactly.
This is
Yeah.
going to be in
Exactly.
theaters for months. It's going to be,
It's going to be next year's Top Gun Maverick
yeah, for sure.
It's gonna
Absolutely.
be in the
It'll
theater.
beat that.
until Christmas.
It'll beat, you know
And
what?
they'll bring
It'll
it back.
beat Avatar.
I hope so.
Well, Avatar has to be the 3rd highest grossing movie ever to be profitable.
Hey man, the article I saw today was James Cameron came out and said the movie's 3 hours and 10 minutes long. You can go up and go to the bathroom because you'll just go see it again.
Oh man, I
Or
want.
I just I don't want to see it now.
no one to see this movie.
I'm not interested.
I'm
it
not
at
interested
all.
at all.
I don't like James Cameron anymore because
He seems like he's lost it.
He's lost it on this Avatar. So he's talking about doing a 6 and a 7 now
No,
for Avatar.
no.
Like he's gone
Honestly,
off the rails.
I never been a big like the first Avatar. I wasn't really into when it first dropped.
I saw it once in 3D and I was like, oh, it's okay. And then when
Yeah.
it came out on Blu-ray, I was like, oh, I'll watch it again. And that's when I was like, no, this is actually
My
not very
wife
good.
and I, when it came out, that's when I was working at Game Crazy and she was working at the Hollywood Video. And people would come in and talk to us about it and like just saying how great it was and how great it was. We're like, there's no way it is this good. And then one day it was like the 14th week of release or something. And we're like, let's just go see it. Just maybe like we have to see, right? And then I remember going to the theater, it's us and there's maybe like 6 other people in there. And the whole time we're watching, I'm just going, what the fuck is this movie? Like, this movie-
Exactly.
It's like, it's so weird and just, it's boring as shit. Like it is not interesting.
There are parts that are very boring.
at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
how do people
I don't
like
get
this?
it.
How is it still making money? But I like to think that now that, this so many years later, people finally have clarity on that movie and just realize like
That's what
it's
I'm
not-
hoping.
Not that good. And
That's what I'm hoping.
I really don't need to go see a second one, especially since it'll be on Disney Plus at some point.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. Anyways,
don't go
I could
see
go off,
Avatar. Go
but-
see Mario.
I could go off about movies.
Yeah.
Go see Mario.
Go see Mario. Don't
All
go see
right.
Avatar.
So as far as news goes, our first news article, it actually broke earlier, and then there was an update to it about Team Ninja was possibly working on a new
Been a lot
Ninja
of back
Gaiden
and forth on this. Yeah.
and a reboot of DOA. It sounds like the Ninja Gaiden thing is not true, but DOA might be, which I would say at this point, if you're going to do another DOA, you might as well reboot it.
Well, I think it's time for that, but
Yeah.
I'm more surprised that they wouldn't try a Ninja Gaiden.
A new
again
Ninja
first.
Gaiden?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
it's been a long
It's a
time
little
since
weird.
they actually made 3, and like it's someone who's played a lot of DOA 5 and 6, and has played has imported the beach volleyball and stuff. I don't know. I could see a universe where there's just never another Dead or Alive game. It's just I don't.
I could see it,
Especially
That
in a
last
universe,
one.
and especially in a universe where Tekken 8 is coming,
Mhm.
and
Street Fighter 6 is coming.
Street Fighter 6 is coming, and there will be a new Mortal Kombat / Injustice game at some point, and Soul Calibur is arguably more popular than Dead or Alive. So you're what, 5th, maybe
You're the-
6th
You're
if
the
you
fifth,
go
maybe
after
sixth
like
popular fighter.
Guilty Gear / King of Fighters type
Yeah.
stuff. I just don't know. I don't know if the money is there for them to make another DOA. But Ninja Gaiden, I feel like if they just made a new game called Ninja Gaiden, they could
Reboot
get,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
get
That'd
people
be
to buy
fine.
that again.
Definitely.
Because remember, Ninja Gaiden was like the original. Man, fuck this game. It's hard, kind of a thing.
Oh,
Before,
it's hard as shit. Like,
but
that was the
before
Dark Souls
Demon
of that
Souls,
era.
Dark Souls,
Yeah,
stuff. So
absolutely.
like now that's a genre of game that people enjoy.
Mhm.
You could
Mhm.
bring that Ninja Gaiden back and make it harder.
There's some art.
with people.
There's some RPG elements.
Make
in
it
you know what
open
I mean?
worlds.
There you go.
Yeah,
I can see that.
There's a
That
universe
makes more
where
sense to me.
Ninja Gaiden makes more sense because things like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff have capitalized on being difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas
Mhm.
Ninja Gaiden 1 was the original, like, you're fucked game.
For sure. Next thing, I thought this was interesting. Hyperkin, the brand, they made that retro Xbox controller, which I have, original OG Xbox
The
controller.
Duke, yeah.
The Duke, which I do have.
I have that guy.
I loaded. I mean, I tried playing with it once. It's cool. I wouldn't recommend normally playing.
I bought
with
it for the
but
novelty.
That's what I did. They're doing an Xbox 360 controller now, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
A little weird that it's wired, I guess, but cool nonetheless. It's weird to me that they're doing this at the 17th anniversary mark of the 360.
Yeah,
But why not wait for the 20th? But
well,
cool nonetheless. It's going to be, I think right now I saw for now it's only going to be in white, but I'm sure they'll make other colors. They did with the Duke. There are a couple colors of that now, so I just thought it was interesting. So, I mean, for me, I like that was a good controller at that time, but I feel like that controller has been improved upon throughout the years, where I don't think I need to return to a 360 controller. So,
Right.
I arguably the biggest article I think out of everything we have here is like the possibility that the FTC may actually file an antitrust lawsuit to block the Microsoft and Activision deal. Do you think this is going to happen? Blocking. Or do you think
not
that
permanent, not permanently,
smoke?
not permanently? No, because there was something where some other territory approved it. And I think part of like if you believe all the new stuff going around, part of it is Microsoft is telling Sony, "We'll give you Call of Duty for a decade." So like
I saw that. Yeah,
there's a concession to be made in here because if that is Sony's only holdup and that's our only problem we have, if Microsoft says we will give it to you for 10 years, then there is no problem anymore.
Yeah,
now, like we talked about for a long time, they're not going to take it off anyway.
No.
They just want to have some obviously, if they own it, they want to have some semblance of control. So they're going to put a time limit on it.
Right.
They're just going to renew it because if you're coming out and telling me that the last Call of Duty that just came out is the record-breaking PlayStation Call of Duty
say
game,
that every year, though.
but the thing is, let's say it is true.
Would
Microsoft turn down all of that money?
No.
No.
Why would they?
Why
they're going to own it now. It's just free money for them.
Yeah,
on a different
they're
platform.
not going to turn off a revenue stream.
It's like Minecraft.
Yeah,
so.
they won't do that. So I think there will be something where it gets dangerously close, and maybe there's more discussions. But I think eventually it'll go through because Sony will get what they want, and Microsoft will get what they want. And I think Microsoft is just playing as if they don't want to do it, but like, okay, I guess we'll do it.
Yeah,
because they don't. They want the money. They're not going to turn it off. And we talked about it before. They also want the Candy Crush money. They want all the other Activision.
That's the bigger
money.
part of this deal that people aren't focusing on. Is the mobile part of it will be a higher domination.
Right, because now they're going to get all the Diablo
Candy
Immortal
Crush,
money.
Diablo Immortal, which people do play.
That is the money. And if Call of Duty is the biggest thing ever, they're not going to just turn it off. I think telling Sony you can have it for a decade if we let this thing go through is fair and a win-win for everyone. So who cares?
Yeah,
agreed.
And also Diablo 4 is so far along in production, it's just not going to not come out on PS5 or not get updates.
there's already there's no way they're not going to.
It's like they're doing with Bethesda stuff where it's like newer IPs aren't going to be on there.
That's why
Starfield. But Elder Scrolls 6, you damn well it's going to be on there.
I'd be shocked if they locked that down.
Especially
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So, but maybe it does, because in the next article, our buddy Todd Howard is just out there talking about how he really likes working with the, obviously he's at Bethesda. They're owned by Microsoft. So part of this is he's going to say this, but he really likes working with the Series X hardware. He's just out there talking about Starfield stuff, I think he mentioned a little bit about Elder Scrolls 6 because now they're coming out and saying they're coming out and kind of apologizing and saying we announced that too soon. Which
Well, we all knew it. It was that was the announcement, which was to get people to stop
2018
about.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
But again, I mean we've talked about this many times in the past, not even on the podcast, but Bethesda games have always run better on Xbox, going all the way back to Oblivion.
They were made for it.
They're made for it. So it makes sense why he would even say this, even if his company was not owned by Microsoft.
No, but it's been proven. Like, you remember PS3 Skyrim, the expansions had to come out backwards.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get them to work. And it was all the cell
Fallout
processor
3 had
shit.
problems. Fallout 4 had problems.
Yeah, they all had
Vegas.
weird problems.
So,
my new favorite thing was like, it's coming out talking about Elder Scrolls 6 and being like, we shouldn't have talked about it. Also, we really plan on you playing that for like the next like decade or so. It's like
like decade,
probably longer. I mean,
probably people are still playing Skyrim and and
as many times.
It's like an endless game.
How many times can they re-release 6? Who knows?
Exactly. This one will be good for you.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 16 special announcement at the Game Awards. Obviously, we know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It also just got rated in a different country, but it's definitely an M-rated game.
Hype.
So
yeah, hell yeah.
I really think, and this kind of gets into this. We'll give you this as a free one before we get to the Game Awards, but I really think the Game Awards you're going to get your release date. Will it hit that?
You'll get your initial release date.
I don't know.
And the other reason you'll get it is because Crisis Core comes out in a week. So they don't have to talk about that one anymore. That's done.
Not at all.
Nexus 16. We'll focus on that. You'll get your August 1st release date or whatever it is around that time, and then it'll miss it by 2 months, and then
do you think they announce a release date that is sooner than that?
I could see it being like June,
like May or June.
I don't think
and then they still push it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it comes out and hits that date. I'm just saying.
No. I could see them saying like June-ish, but I just that is even more unlikely. Although, again, apparently the game's done and it's been rated and it's just, but do they want to release it in June? I don't know. That's a weird time to release it. End of Q1.
It's a weird time, but at the same time too, like a Final Fantasy game can come out whenever they want it to.
True. I mean,
doesn't
15. Yeah, I mean, people still play 15.
Yeah,
and they're making all their money from 14, so it doesn't really matter when that thing releases.
They're still making a shit ton of money off 14.
Do you think they announce? Well, I guess we could talk about it later, but just since we're talking about the announcement, maybe like a 16 branded PS5.
Yes, I
can see that.
I think the reveal will start with something like that, where it'll be like, the silhouette of something. It'll be like a faceplate thing.
Their reveal stuff is weird. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like they don't even necessarily have to make a system. Just make faceplates.
You can just make faceplates.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually going to write on that gloss.
Announce my. What I want them to do is announce the collector's edition.
I think at the very least, if you don't get a branded system, you get a controller.
Yeah, I have that.
They did it for God of War.
I have the weird Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns PS3 controller. That's a fucking weird one. I have that one. I have the MLB The Show PS3 controller.
Jeez.
I think that's how that.
Yeah, I hope I want them to release. Just tell me a date, whatever the date is, fine. And then announce my collector's edition, and then I got a fucking race to try to get that bought. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, but that's gonna be bad.
But yeah,
I think they want to, and at this point, regardless of when it actually comes out, they want to start the pre-order business on it.
Yeah, it comes out next year. You want to get the cycle started.
Yeah.
And, because we all know, 7 Remake 2 is 24, so it doesn't really matter.
Easily. There's no way that's also coming out.
They're not going to come out within 6 months of each other.
No. I think we'll hear about a lot more of that at the Game Awards next year.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
So maybe a little bit at E3 next year, but then.
Well, we got E3 and we've got Summer Game Fest is back too.
Yeah. We got both. So, next news article I just thought was interesting. So, Monster Hunter Rise, which I think is the most recent Switch Monster Hunter, is coming to all their platforms in January and is going to be on Game Pass day one, which is cool.
Ooh.
I don't know. You and I played one of those. Was that the
We
Monster
played
Hunter World?
Monster Hunter World.
It's okay.
I like
don't know.
that
I'm
game.
not a big.
That game,
It's cool.
I will say I had a hard time getting into them before I played that one.
That one,
And
yeah,
then
that
you and
was
I,
the one
we
that
played quite a bit of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And that game,
It wasn't bad.
Once you learn the systems and actually get into it, that game's pretty fun. And it's got a lot of content. The Rise ones are like the Switch version, so they're kind of like a step back in terms of like quality and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess that would give you more of a streamlined experience if you just want to play one. But realistically,
sure.
I'm pretty sure Monster Hunter World and the major expansion are part of that like Games with Plus thing, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's like those games.
makes
If you've
sense.
not played that game is fantastic. But Rise, it's cool that it exists. I saw good stuff going around where people were saying thank you to Switch players for beta testing it.
That's good. That's good. This I thought was interesting. Another new Amnesia game was announced for March, but it's different. It's called Amnesia: The Bunker. So your character is. It seems. I watched the trailer this morning. It seems like it's set in a time period. I couldn't tell you when. Maybe like the 1920s or something. But it is your character is trapped in a bunker with some sort of monster chasing you,
Sure.
like Alien Isolation style, which is different than what they've done in the past for Amnesia. So it's on it's on PS5, Xbox. And that was another one that is also coming to Game Pass. So that was clearly in the trailer. So, and it makes sense because they just added all the Amnesia games to Game Pass a couple weeks ago.
That's how they
so
always
that makes
do it.
sense.
Yeah.
So it looks cool. It's like a minute long trailer, and I don't know. It's a horror game, so I'm sold. The Callisto Protocol, which is out today. My copy will hopefully be here tomorrow. So I haven't played it yet. Apparently has terrible performance on PC. We see this more often with like newer game releases now. Like it seems like there's one every year where the game comes out, it's fine on consoles, but on PC it's a disaster.
Yeah.
So going all the way back to remember Arkham Knight famously was pulled because of how bad
that's
that
the
version
price.
was.
That's the price you pay for PC gaming, though.
It
It's like
is.
because so many parts are interchangeable, and like there's different companies that make graphics, or there's different companies that make processors. Like,
and there are people
There's
that
so many
have
variables.
3080s and 49 or whatever the highest one right now having frame rate issues with this game. So
because those games can't be optimized for everything.
It's
all
not
the time.
possible.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always
it's
kind of
getting-
preferred console stuff, is because I can just kind of put the disc in and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I will say I like how it is now, where most games have the option where you can at least choose if you want maybe a higher. I'm always going to choose frame rate over resolution, but I like that option's there at least for console games now. But yeah, the PC, and that was ever since like the days of Warcraft 3. That was always my biggest thing on PC now. Where it's like I don't feel like getting a game that's trash for a month because they have to patch it because there's 8,000 different parts out there.
Yeah.
But
drivers.
That's really all. I did see that they're already working on a patch to fix that, so I'm sure it'll be quick.
For sure, yeah.
So they don't want people to be, put
unhappy.
down that hard, but exactly. Finally, the last news article we have of the week, which it's funny because this was actually going to be one of my predictions when we go into the Game Awards predictions in a moment here, but there will not be any announcements from NetherRealm at Game Awards, so you're not going to get a Mortal Kombat. What would this be, 12? Or Injustice 3 announcement.
Oh.
So it's kind of a bummer. I don't know. It's weird too because like it seems more and more likely they're actually going to do a Mortal Kombat.
Seems like Mortal Kombat is next.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that too because after playing a lot of Injustice 2 and picking it up again recently, I don't really know what else they can do to expand on
the other
that,
thing too is
tell
like
a new story.
Look at how much of a mess Warner Brothers and DC is right now with all this changeover. That could be what's holding up making another.
I'm sure there's like obviously there's stuff in progress at that place and they're working on it.
Oh, for sure.
They do still make like the mobile game, the Injustice mobile game.
That's pretty popular.
So maybe that just becomes the focus. Like I don't know.
See it.
Like I was looking at the roster of characters. I'm like, I don't even know who else you add at this point.
Yeah,
because they did all the DLC, all those DLC people where they were adding Mortal Kombat people. They had a Ninja Turtles for Christ's sake.
Yeah, Dr. Fate's in that game.
Dr. Fate's in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's not too many people left that could like conceivably be additional characters for that franchise. I mean, obviously they would tell a new story, but Is that enough? Mortal Kombat 12, on the other hand, that's got a big roster too, but they're still, with the way that they've, time travel retcon that game to hell, which in a good way, in a great way. Anybody's fair game. They could bring back anybody they want and make any new character they want, and I don't care. So
for sure,
it does seem more likely that that's next, and that's fine. Mortal Kombat 11 is a fantastic game. The best one they've released in 20 years.
I think, like for a long time, I said the 361 was my favorite because that was kind of the first,
the reboot one,
like the reboot. Where
ever since
really
they did that, they have
amazing.
It. Like,
10 was pretty good, but I think 11. I think now if I were to pick 11, probably would top 9 or the.
I think 11 is the best of those three. But even 10 was really good because that was when they added in. Remember they did 9 and then they did the time jump, and that's where you got like Cassie and all the other like the new.
And I thought that was a
generation
cool
of people.
Yeah, a really cool idea.
Yeah, those games are fantastic. So it's a bummer there's no announcement, but
there's going to be one next year.
Yeah, no, they don't have to.
They're big enough now; they can do it whenever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And they can, that's the thing where like they can announce that on their own. Like they can just have a stream and go, "Hey, guess what?
Or maybe
12, here it is."
Yeah, or maybe the studio is like, we're going to have our own showcase. Not the studio, but like the company.
I could see it. I could see it for sure.
That'd be worth it.
So we're going to jump into predictions for the Game Awards. We're going to go through some, not all the categories, because there's certain categories that we all just don't care about.
Or we know nothing about, so we couldn't really make an educated guess. So,
and then I thought it would be fun to go around and maybe each of us pick 2 or 3 predictions for announcements. Or surprise announcements.
That could happen.
Yeah. Exactly. But you pulled up the list.
Yeah, I've got the list. So I'll just kind of read the category and then read the nominations, and then we can all just kind of pick or have like a quick discussion about it.
We can do each category.
Yeah. So Game of the Year. I mean, obviously the major one. So the nominees are A Plague Tale: Requiem, Elden Ring, Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade 3, which is a dark horse, but I really feel like they wanted to get a Nintendo game in there somehow.
I think so too.
There's no Zelda or Mario. What else can you pick?
I think
it comes down to 2 games. Like it's clearly 2 games.
Ragnarok or Elden Ring.
Like
I feel like it'll be Elden Ring only because that game they gave the most anticipated 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I feel like it'd be a disservice
almost
if they didn't.
It's also multi-platform. So more people can play it. It's gonna be tight between those two. I would probably lean towards Elden Ring, but it would be by a few percent, instead of anything else. I could see a chuckle scenario where Stray somehow does it, but I just don't. Stray's a good game.
I love Stray, but
it's a good game. It's not a game of the year.
It's in my top 10, but it's not. The game of the year.
So I would say Elden Ring, but I would not be surprised if God of War won. Let's put.
That's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if God of War wins it, but I think it'll be Elden Ring.
Yeah. Same here.
Best game direction. So it gets a little different here. So it's Elden Ring, Ragnarok, Forbidden West, Immortality, Stray again. This is one where I feel like even if God of War doesn't win Game of the Year, I feel like it could win this one because it's a story game.
Yeah, it is.
Elden Ring is a go play the game.
There's story, but you have to
find it. You have to read and you have to put it together.
Exactly.
At no point in that game does it ever really feel like. I will say I have not played it, but I have watched a lot of it. Like I'm watching a playthrough just to get how the story works.
I'll say there's more lore in it than previous Dark Souls game, but it's presented just like Dark Souls.
Right. You have to seek it out. You have to put the pieces together. I think God of War, even if it doesn't win Game of the Year, could win this one.
Absolutely.
Stray could win it too, just because of the style.
I think that's a dark horse, but I think without question it will be God of War.
Yeah.
So
best narrative is Plague Tale: Requiem, Elden Ring, Ragnarok, Horizon, and Immortality. I think it's God of War again.
I think it's God of War again on that one too.
It's a story game. Like it's
and even I'll also say even my complaints that I've had thus far about the story and the narrative in that game, I think the narrative is better than Horizons, because that was my big complaint about Horizon 2.
Yeah.
I think the narrative went off the rails.
It did.
Whereas
And like it got to
this hasn't. They've just put pause on it.
Horizon got to the, Eternals, alien people.
Yeah.
It just kind of got weird. And then it didn't even end itself.
No.
So
you get a third one.
Best art direction: Plague Tale, Requiem, Elden Ring, Ragnarok, Hellsinger, Chronicles 3.
Hellsinger, like the shooter game?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
Well, this is. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Different.
I read the wrong one. That's music.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's
there.
music. So I feel like that could win that.
That could win that.
Just
the music is really outstanding.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of metal bands.
What's the point of the game?
Yeah. I could see that.
I think Elden Ring is a dark horse for that too, just because it has a lot of like
really good orchestral
music, tone music that really sets the setting of whatever area they're in and stuff like
those
that.
games always do.
I think it probably comes down to those two, but I think Hellsinger I would pick to win in like
I think so too.
Surprise one. The art direction what I meant to read was Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Scorn, and Stray. I think Stray can win that game. That one.
You think that one? I was going to say I think it's a toss-up between Elden Ring, and I'm going to throw a dark horse in there and say Scorn. Because that's all based on that guy's drawing.
So this is for it's for outstanding creative and technical achievement in artistic design and animation.
Hey man, the animation and art style in that game is pretty creative.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I mean,
the little bit I've played, Matt's played more than I have, but it's weird.
It is
creepy.
Super creepy because it
sets the atmosphere of that game.
Yeah, very much so. Like,
if the category was atmosphere, no joke, that game would win.
Yeah, for sure.
No joke.
I would probably say the same. I think Scorn is a dark horse in this one, but I would go with that just because that's what I played of that.
I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's Elden Ring just because of the monster designs, and every one of those games has crazy monster designs. This is the best they've ever had.
But Stray has all that cat tech in it.
It does.
So it's got a lot of kitty cat tech, and it's pretty good.
If there's a tech category that you're coming to, and that's in it, without question.
Yeah. Okay.
Like those cats look like real fucking cats.
He acts like a normal cat.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Best audio design. So this would be like sound effects and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, and Horizon.
I'm gonna go Call of Duty with this one only because they got to give Call of Duty something. And audio design's very easy. Those games always have, like, say what you will about Call of Duty, they always have excellent audio design.
They focus a lot on it to make it.
Absolutely.
The guns sound real, explosions sound real.
Got to hear those footsteps with your headset,
especially surround and stuff. I think Elden Ring is up there too, just because there is a lot of like ambient noise and like you can hear things coming, and sound cues are a part of that game in certain parts. So it's possible, but I think Call of Duty probably wins.
Hearing a weird enemy around a corner that you may or may not think is there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then it turns out he was behind you the whole time.
Exactly.
Best performance of this would be VO or performance capture step. So it's Ashley Birch for Horizon, Charlotte McBurney for Plague Tale, Christopher Judge, who is Kratos, Manon Gage, who is Immortality, and then Sonny Suljic, is that the kid from God of War?
I think so, yeah.
So this is from God of War.
Atreus.
Yeah.
Didn't the God of War guy win last time?
I want to say yes, but I'm also going to say he should win again.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, that performance is so good. Like, this is a guy who stepped in. I don't remember who originally did Kratos, but this dude stepped in 2018 and really took over that role.
He made it
in a way. He made it his own.
Well, now they're talking about like this TV show, and everybody's like, "You should just be him in the TV show." And he's like, "Yeah, I should." Like, maybe he should.
He should. The dude's great.
Yeah.
I would like that would be my choice out of everybody. I could see in this case because they do love celebrating, at least in one category, an indie game. You'd see that Immortality game because it's literally a movie. Yeah. So I could see it, and I will say, like, as someone as the only of the three of us that have played that game,
well, that's an actual performance too.
It's an actual performance, and that lady is really good.
Yeah.
So I could see that as a dark horse.
Sure. Because it's an actual performance.
Yeah. But I'm going Christopher Judge.
What's up, man?
Before we go back into this, Did you guys catch the Gears of War Netflix thing that's happening?
I heard about it. Yeah.
Oh, where Batista wants to play him?
Yeah.
And he probably
He
just
should.
should. Like,
He
I mean,
should.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would complain about that.
Like the whole video looks really cool. I was just thinking about
He
that when we were
played-
talking about God of War.
he's
So-
in the game.
In Gears 5, they actually did motion capture with him and his voice and everything, and you can play the entire game as him.
Right.
Yeah.
Play Marcus Phoenix. Like, just let him play
Marcus-
Marcus Phoenix in the movie.
Marcus also doesn't have to be like the greatest actor who ever lived. Like, he wears a big
He's
suit
been
no.
wanting,
and he carries
put
a
it this way.
chainsaw gun.
he's been wanting to play this since the original one came out in 2006 when he was still wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's a long time.
No, I think you could
So-
easily do him, and then get Big E to be
Who's a good
Coltrane.
Dom?
There you go.
Oh
There
man,
you
that
go.
would be
I'm
so
into
good.
that. All
To
right.
make
Not
it,
even
a,
gonna
make,
lie.
it a, make it a WWE production.
All right.
All right.
You've excited
We're
me.
in.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do
I
it.
can hear Big E going woo as he's running down halls and stuff. Right?
I
Yeah,
can see
That'd
it.
be fun.
I can see that.
I can see
And
it.
then my buddy Dolph Ziggler could be Baird, and there you go.
There you go.
I can also see that
Yeah.
actually. Like, weird, but I could totally
Yeah, I
see
just
it
like
now that
I just
think
bang in a
about it.
WWE production. Who cares? Batista and Big
There
E.
you go.
I'm in.
Love it.
All right, so that's best performance. The next one, I will say, this is the Games for Impact, which is like the provoking of a pro social meaning or message. I haven't played
Okay.
any of these, Kyle.
No.
As far as
Okay.
I know,
What
Kyle,
are they?
you're the only person who's played any one of these.
Mm.
Okay, what are they?
A Memoir Blue, which
No,
is an Annapurna
not played
game.
it.
As the Dust Falls, which you played.
I've played that.
Citizen Sleeper, Ending
Heard of
Extinction
it.
is Forever, Hindsight,
No.
which is another Annapurna game, and I
No.
was a teenage exocolonist. Like,
Okay.
I get, like, I would have no clue.
I mean,
but-
I don't have any clue about the other ones. I will tell you, like, from playing As Dusk Falls, it is one of my favorite games of the year. I think the subject matter and the themes that it handles is done very, very well, and about as tasteful as you can do. Like I said, one of the big parts in that game, and I have not seen this in a video game before, but one of the biggest parts of that game is there is a sequence that deals with suicide, and they let you skip it.
right.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that game before. Like, they literally come up and say, "Hey, if you're not cool with this, press this button and we'll move on." So, and I thought for a game like that, that was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my pick, but that's only because it's the only game I played.
Yeah, I don't know
in this
anything about the
category,
others. Like, it's one
but
of
I
those
really
things-
Not
enjoyed
at
that
all.
game. So,
I don't tend to the thing. I guess it's a little sad, but
Yeah.
I don't tend to lean in that direction of like games I play.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'd say the last game I played that really was like that was probably the first Life is Strange game, which, I mean, you knew I was super into
Yeah,
when that came
we
out.
both played that.
It's a cool game, but when the second one came out, like I didn't really feel like I needed more of it.
Another one of those right
I
away.
got too much other stuff to play, and like
Yeah,
sometimes those games are too slow for me.
for sure.
Best ongoing game. This is a good one we can talk about for sure. So there's
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt's
Apex.
favorite Apex,
Oh,
Destiny 2, which is just a games as a service game now, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. It's a tough one to call.
didn't Genshin Impact win last year?
I thought Final Fantasy 14 did.
Or was it Final Fantasy? I mean, my pick this year would be Final Fantasy.
I would still pick 14 because like
It's insane.
the sheer fact that game is still going and it's better than it's ever been, and they keep adding good content to it.
Exactly.
There's no reason it should even, like, by all accounts, it should have died, and it did.
Yeah.
So the fact that they keep adding good content to it is the most amazing part.
That would be my pick
I don't think
too.
Fortnite wins just because Fortnite is Fortnite. Destiny 2 won't win just because I know they
think
keep
you
adding
have-
stuff to that, but like Destiny
you
kind of
have-
doesn't rate its course.
There's definitely
Yeah.
a core audience that still plays that game,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it is smaller than a lot.
And it's such a
That it
different
is.
game. Like Final Fantasy 14,
It is.
like if you're talking about like just best ongoing game, that
It's
game to me is the
insane.
best ongoing game because it's so many things in one.
Mhm.
Like you could log on and just go fishing for an entire day if that's what you wanted to do. And there
I can see Genshin winning this too, though.
I
That's
could.
also
I haven't played that game probably over a year, but
I need to go back to it.
it's a good game.
Yeah.
I could see it winning because they have added more content to that too. It's a tough one to call. I would pick 14.
I would pick 14 as well.
All right, here's best.
Matt's gonna pick Apex.
That's fine.
I would
That's
pick, but I mean, I know realistically, it's probably not going to win. Just kind of like it's the same boat of Fortnite. Only downfall is like Fortnite's it's just complete utter garbage. I mean,
It's
I don't
chaos.
Yeah.
know. Like, there's nothing about it, but I can see where Genshin might pull it through because I know my niece plays a lot of that Genshin game.
I really want to get back into
Genshin's
it.
weird
And-
because that's another one of those games where like it shouldn't be that good, and it is.
For a free-to-play
For a
game.
free-to-play
you literally have to dump no money into
Anime
it
Right.
to
game,
get what you want out
like
of it.
it's really good.
It's
I don't
really
know how it's
cool.
that good, but it's really good. There's a lot to do in it, a lot of content.
There's a lot of content for free.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part.
Mhm.
Best indie game, Cult
Okay.
of the Lamb, which I know is a game that we all want to play, but we haven't yet.
I think that
Yeah.
might win actually.
Well, it might until I read another one.
Unless it's
Neon
unless you tell
White,
me
which by all accounts is cool, and that's coming to PlayStation
people
soon, so
re-
that's cool.
Yeah, like next weekend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sifu,
Mhm.
Stray,
People are thinking.
and
Okay.
Tunic.
Oh,
So-
people really like Tunic.
People
too.
really like Tunic, but I think this is where the Kitty Cat game wins.
I think
Yeah,
Stray wins.
I could see that.
Because it's a Kitty Cat game, and that's fine.
That game
That's
was
a good
huge when it came
Yeah,
out. Like
That's
for
all
an
people
indie
talked
game.
about. That's all people talked about for months before it came out. Was like, you can play
Yeah.
as a cat. Oh my god! And then honestly, like you
It
play
was
through,
good.
you play through the whole thing. You're like, yeah, that was pretty good, but like, I don't think I need.
I never need to play it
You
again.
can't really play it again because it's the same. Like it
Yeah.
is point to point. Do this. It's more about like the experience of playing that game through.
Exactly.
Best mobile game: Apex, Diablo Immortal, Genshin, Marvel Snap, and
Okay.
Tower Fantasy.
Marvel Snap.
For me,
Marvel
it's Marvel
Snap.
Snap.
It
I think
is.
it does win though. That game is insanely
It's
popular.
insanely popular.
Fantastic.
It's so good. Like they're. It's only been out a couple
IGN
months, and they're still updating
IGN
it.
runs
Already
articles
updating
like
it.
every other day about different strategies.
Yeah,
like that game
because
is insanely
There
popular.
are tons.
I think it wins.
I have a group chat with two other friends where half of what we talk about is Marvel Snap strats. Hey man, check this out. I got this one. Hey, it's really good if you put that in there. Like it's so good. I think about it when I'm not playing it. You know what I mean? It's not Apex, which is just that shrunk down to a phone. It's not
Yeah.
Diablo.
Yeah.
It's not Diablo Immortal, which crashed on me twice and lost my progress twice.
There you go.
It's not Genshin Impact, which is just that game on a phone.
Yeah.
And then Tower Fantasy, I'll be honest, I don't know what that is.
I've
Yeah.
heard of it, but
Why
I
isn't
haven't
Raid
played it.
Shadow Legends on here? I thought that was the best mobile
Right.
game. Everybody just keeps talking about Raid Shadow Legends.
Aren't we supposed to be sponsored by them soon?
I mean, I don't get why we're not. We're on the internet. We should be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends.
And then at that point, I will tell everyone what a great game it is.
Please play it.
Best community support. This is kind of a weird one, just because I don't follow a ton of this stuff, but it's Apex, Destiny, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. That's an interesting one.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
Um,
I'm gonna say it's a toss up between that and 14. No Man's Sky.
I don't know. Like Final Fantasy 14, like they don't really necessarily. I don't know how much they support the community other than just being like, check out this update.
No
you
Man's
know.
Sky. They do so much with that.
Bungie doesn't seem to support the community very
No.
much, just
No.
because they don't seem to care.
Fortnite, all they're doing is telling you that hey, it's going to be down for this time.
Yeah,
for our
and
next event or
Fortnite's
something.
really just, hey guys, support us by buying stuff in game.
Apex. I feel like it's just hey, sorry, we fucked up this nerf or that
Yep.
nerf. So, maybe we'll get to it next season.
No Man's
you know,
Sky.
so
No Man's Sky, I think is a
think-
good one, just because they seem to
I
actually.
think No Man's
listen
Sky's
and
get
give
one.
a damn.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so that's I would go with that.
I
just
agree.
'cause That's a great game. It's one of the best games of the past decade, and again,
It's so
another
good
game that
now.
should be dead and somehow is
Still striving.
one of the better games you can play in 2022.
Absolutely. Cross-platform.
Forever, you can play that game forever, and it just gets better.
Like I said, there was a point where like one of us played on Xbox, one of us was on PC, and one of us was on PlayStation.
Yeah, and it all worked.
We all played,
Yeah,
and it all worked.
it was great.
We all met up and played.
It was fun. Yeah, like,
Built a house.
great game.
Exactly.
This one's a weird one because I don't know. I'll read it and I'll read what it's about. Innovation and
Okay.
accessibility, recognizing software or hardware that's pushing the medium forward by adding features, tech, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience.
They've done this for a couple years.
Yeah,
now.
so it's-
remember one year that Xbox Adaptive Controller won.
Yeah, but I don't even. That
Oh.
doesn't even feel like it's the same because like the nominees are
Yeah.
As Dusk Falls, God of War Ragnarok, Return to Monkey Island, The Last of Us Part 1. Fuck that game. And The Quarry. I feel like Ragnarok might win just because it has 9 fucking performance modes.
No, so okay, so here's what the category what they're talking about is like a lot of games now have insane accessibility where like you can change so much about it from like colorblind modes.
Didn't Forza win this because they did like the ALS
Forza won it last year because they had which was crazy. As Dusk Falls, I know that game has some of that stuff. I mean, obviously, I don't need to use these options as other people do, so I don't really mess with them. But I will say, like, even we could say fuck that game for Last of Us Part 1, but for whatever reason, they put a ton of work into that for that game. I don't know why. For a re-release, but I mean, I don't even know which game would win this. Honestly,
that's a toss-up.
God of War, I know, has a ton of those options.
Ton of performance.
I remember reading articles about it.
I
could see that winning.
Here,
it's a toss.
We'll get to the fun stuff, and we'll just kind of roll through this because this is where we get to like best VR game. Well, none of us have played it, but Among Us VR is a nominee, so that'll win. We'll just skip. Best action game. Here we go: Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and then the Turtles game.
I'd go with Turtles.
I pick the Turtles game. Turtles game is real good.
I would pick the Turtles game, but I could see a world in which that Sifu game wins because of how unique the combat system is in that game.
I would pick Turtles. It's Call of Duty because, like, who gives a shit? I think I
kind of hope it's Turtles. Game, I think that deserves some recognition somewhere.
It's a fun surprise game.
The game's amazing.
Incredible. And has more content in it than it really needed by far.
Exactly.
Best action adventure: Plague Tale, God of War, Horizon, Stray, Tunic, God of War. We'll move on.
I think it's God of War.
Yeah. It's nothing else is close. Best role playing. This is an easy one too. Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Xenoblade 3, Elden Ring. We'll move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you need Triangle Strategy?
Yeah, Triangle. Like, they just needed a 5th game, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad game. I really do want to play
I have it. It's sealed. I do want to play it.
Best fighting game.
Steam now.
DNF Duel, JoJo, King of Fighters 15, Multiverses, or Sifu. I guess they're counting that as a fighting game.
I wouldn't. I could see a weird situation where Sifu would win this because of that again. But if I were to pick one, the one that I've heard the most of that people talked about is that JoJo.
Yeah.
That's what I was
really a lot of people talk about. I mean, I've seen the first season of anime. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I would probably be inclined to play that at some point.
People like those games a lot. I think that'll do it. Here's an interesting one. So best family game: Kirby, Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, Mario & Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, Nintendo Switch Sports, and Splatoon 3. I would hope it's Kirby, just because.
I would hope it's Kirby too, honestly.
I've played a lot more of that, and my kids have been playing it together. Like, it's really good.
But that seems more like a family would sit down and play.
Right.
Splatoon, a family's not sitting down and play that. 2 kids are playing against each other with separate Switches.
I don't think Mario and Rabbids is like necessarily a family game. I get why it's in this category, but it's not.
I'm sure it's really good. The first one was, but I don't think
really
it's
good.
a family.
No.
I think it's Kirby. I could also see Switch Sports winning only because of what it is.
But you've played it. Do you think that deserves to win?
Do I think it? I mean, I haven't played Kirby, so I can't speak to Kirby. But again, I can see a family sitting around and playing that. I can see a family sitting around playing Kirby. The other games, I can't.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's a toss up between those two.
Best sim.
Grandma can come over and bowl.
Yeah, that's true. Best sim and strategy game: Dune, Mario and Rabbids, Total War Warhammer 3, 2 Point Campus, and Victoria 3. I can't speak to a lot of these. I haven't played 2 Point Campus, but I played a lot of 2 Point Hospital. That's a fun game, but I wouldn't say it would ever crack like the best of something.
I have seen people talk about Dune. It is on Game Pass now for PC. I have not tried it. I've at least heard people talk about that. Whereas, like, I feel like the people that talk about the Total War games are all in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Would you say what was the one game you said started with a V?
Victoria.
3.
I have heard people talk about that.
That's made by Paradox. So I mean, I could see that.
I could see that.
Good. I can't really pick a winner just because the only one I would have any notion of what it is is 2 Point or Mario. Dune might win just because I do know people talk about that a lot. But best sports and racing, it would be F1 22, FIFA 23, NBA 23, GT7, and Ali Ali World. I think.
Wow.
You telling me that AEW game isn't in this one?
That's next year, man. You gotta wait till next.
I would say Gran Turismo.
God, Ali World's cool. It won't win it, but
it's a weird toss up just because like FIFA's not as good as it used to be. Basketball's not as good as it used to be, but
Madden's not in here.
No,
wonder why that is.
Madden sucks. But basketball has like that Jordan stuff added back in. Most of the things people ever have a problem with the basketball game are the microtransaction shit. So I don't know how much that would factor into like this.
Probably not.
Yeah,
I can see basketball
winning just because it's the height of like sports games right now.
Yeah,
I would want to see Ali World win.
That'd be a cool one.
Skateboarding.
But, best multiplayer, Call of Duty, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, and the Turtles game.
I think Call of Duty.
I think Call of Duty.
It's probably Call of Duty. Overwatch 2, I don't understand how that could win. That game doesn't work. Multiverses is a bad Smash clone. Not a bad Smash clone. It's a Smash clone.
It's a Smash clone. It's popular.
Yeah. Splatoon, I don't think is up there.
I'll say this: if there's a category, because Splatoon's on a couple of these, if there's a category that Splatoon could
win this one.
It could win this one.
But it's probably.
But I think it's a toss up between Call of Duty, or the last one you said.
No, it's not. Turtles won't win this one.
You don't think? Okay.
No, I don't think they'll win this one.
It's probably Call of Duty.
Yeah.
People seem to like the multiplayer of this one. So,
content creator of the year, we're going to skip because I only know one of these people.
Don't know any other.
Best debut indie game. This is a tough one. So there's Neon White, which is everybody loves that game.
Okay.
Norco, which I don't know what that one is.
I've heard really good things about that.
Stray, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors.
Oh my god!
So like this is pretty loaded in terms of games people really like.
I think Stray's going to win that one.
I think Stray might win again just because it's the kitty cat.
I'm going to say one thing about Vampire Survivors.
That
game has been the number one game played on the Steam Deck for like 4 months straight.
But does it have kitty cats in it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. There's a witch that throws cats.
Oh.
So, no.
There you go.
Kitty cat uses cats.
Not as good as
Stray.
Well,
then there you go.
Because it's an 8-bit game.
Stray all the way.
I think because I doubt Vampire Survivors is on any other category.
I don't think it is.
I think there's a possibility, but I think realistically it's Stray.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
I think that's another tight one. I think Tunic could be up there. Just because
I
people
really liked when I played
really highly of that game, and I do want to play that game very much. But
really cool game.
Best adaptation. This is going to be a tough one too.
Okay.
Except there's one stinker that will not win, although it could win, and you'll know which one it is when I say it. So it's that Arcane League of Legends show, the Cyberpunk show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard
the Cuphead show, Sonic 2, and Uncharted, which is Uncharted is one that should not win, but I could see it win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it has the word Uncharted in it.
People have said really good things about Arcana. I've not watched it.
Yeah. Sonic will not win. We can take that out.
People have said really good things about Cyberpunk. I have not watched it.
No.
We are like, my girlfriend and I are like maybe halfway through this most recent season of Cuphead. It's a wonderful show.
My kids watch that show and love it.
It's like really fucking good. Like for something that you wouldn't think would work in the way that it does, but it works really well. So I hope we get a Cuphead 2 out of it.
It's between those three for sure.
Yeah.
That Cyberpunk show kind of came out of nowhere, and people seem to really like that show too.
Really like it.
And like a lot of people credit it with like helping save that game.
Aren't all three of those Netflix games?
Of course they are.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those.
It's one of those three. It's tough. Like
it's tough.
I think Cuphead appeals to more people.
Absolutely.
Because it's a cartoon.
Absolutely.
Cyberpunk is for certain people, and Arcane League of Legends is for very specific people. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not better than others. So it's going to be tough.
It's going to be one of those three. I'd like to see Cuphead win.
I would like to see Cuphead win. I just think that's the most fun.
It's
tremendous. But I could also see fuck it Uncharted win just because haha it's Uncharted. But
yeah,
that movie not It's fine. It's not good.
I enjoyed it.
That's fine. It's not good. It's not great. Here's the everybody's favorite category, most anticipated.
Oh yeah.
Final
Ring 2.
Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, Elden Ring 2. It should be on there. Hogwarts.
Mhm.
Resident Evil 4, which please don't let that win.
No.
Don't let that win.
Starfield, which could win.
Easily.
And the winner, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Like, come
Zelda
on.
will
Yeah.
win.
It's Zelda will win.
For sure.
Even if I had to vote for one, I would probably pick Zelda.
Yeah, although
yeah,
I mean mine would be
like-
Final Fantasy 16, but I would never necessarily say that like I anticipate that the most just because I've known forever that I was getting it. So it doesn't I don't know if I anticipate it. Resident Evil 4, please don't let that win. Like
Don't
come
let
on.
that win.
Please.
As a Resident
I know
Evil
that it's a
fan,
remake.
Don't let that
I
win.
get it, but please don't let that win.
Don't let
Hogwarts,
that
I
win.
think, had more steam, and I think it's starting to fizzle a little bit just because it's
It
taking
is
too
yeah.
long.
because it's
for that
taking
game to
too
come out.
long, but I still think that game looks
It looks
as
cool.
hell.
I
but
think it looks
yeah.
badass.
But that's another game though where I think I need to see it after it's out to know that that's something
Yeah.
I want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16, no
Exactly.
question. Resident Evil 4, not really a question. Even if somebody doesn't like Resident Evil games, I'll play that one.
Yeah.
Zelda,
I can't wait.
Zelda, there's
Zelda.
literally zero question of everyone buying that game. So I think it's that. Best esports game, don't care. Sorry.
Don't care.
Best esports athlete, super don't care.
Don't
I only
care.
know one,
Yeah.
I only have heard of one of these people.
Yeah.
Best esports team, I don't care. Best esports coach,
Don't
who
care.
are these people?
There's way too many of
Best
these
esports.
categories.
Well, these are the ones that they use for like filler in between, where it's like,
They have
oh, and
to.
by the way, Evo 2022 won best esports event. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could be any of these. I don't
Nah, I'm
really
good.
care. But that's all of the awards.
Okay.
What we could pick based on what we know. But
Well, why don't we go around and each pick like 3,
I don't know if I'll necessarily have
announcements.
3, but like it's just like things that might happen. Well, why don't you give me one of yours first?
So one of the ones that I'm not even going to talk about ones that we've already discussed. Or like you're gonna like Final Fantasy 16. We know it's going to happen.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
something will happen with Final Fantasy 16. I would tell you, I think what one I would really like to see, because again, we've talked about like, this needs to be, I think this show specifically needs to be where Microsoft starts showing some of these games that they've had.
Any of these games, please?
Any of them. My pick is going to either be Avowed, because people are hyped for that. People are hyped for a game they saw 15 seconds of,
Right.
or Fable, because we've heard enough recently
Mhm.
about Fable that I feel like
It's confirmed.
could see
It's
some
confirmed that it's
footage.
real. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is a team working on it. Before it
so
was
I think
like,
it's one of those.
Fable
two.
might be a game we work on.
Do you get a date on that trailer?
No, Jesus.
No
You don't
date.
even get a window. No.
I would tell you, I do not want to see another Hellblade trailer unless it has a real date.
Unless
Don't
they're
talk
like, it
about
comes out
Don't
in
talk about it.
January. Like
Yeah,
that game needs to come
don't
out
talk about the
immediately
game.
after. Xbox, like my Xbox prediction would be, you and I kind of talked
It's
about this
something.
before. I want my Indiana Jones trailer because I just got the movie trailer. And again,
I
the
think you
game
could
and the
get
movie,
something here.
and the movie are not tied together. I don't want them to be tied together. They don't have to be tied
They're
together.
not. They're
Right.
But they exist together. So how do you maximize the potential of both of them?
I think we're in a
You
situation
talk
where
about
that
them
game
at the
comes
same
out.
time.
Yeah.
I think we're in a situation where that game is a fall 2023.
And that's fine. Because like they talk about them at the same time, promote them together. Like there's a movie and a game. Like this is the window to do that.
Do you think they pay the money to have Harrison Ford come out wearing a hat?
No, I don't think he shows up. There's no
I don't
fucking
think
way.
he would either for this.
No,
Yeah, get him pretty liquored up for
done. Yeah. So there's that, and then if we're talking about games from Microsoft that I know exist that I have not talked about in a long time, and I know you have people working on it, I need a real Perfect Dark trailer.
I would
I need
love a real
something real.
Perfect.
I don't need
Really
game,
bad.
I don't need gameplay, but I need a real trailer other than her standing looking at a pyramid.
How about maybe show more of her? Maybe announce who the voice
Show her.
actress is.
Have maybe
playing
Oh,
her,
that'd be
maybe
cool.
she comes out and she's like,
Okay.
here's a look at this or whatever, and it's somebody,
Yeah,
anybody. So I want.
I would be into that.
I want that. Those are the two things I want from Microsoft for sure.
Okay. That's the biggest thing for me. Microsoft, I don't think it's just one. I think they need to have a couple trailers.
They always
here.
do.
They're gonna have their typical
We'll
like here's what's coming to Game Pass.
They love to show it, and when they never put it out, like that's what they love to do.
I think you'll get one or two big Game Pass announcements here because that's what they like to focus on.
Oh yeah,
now.
very much so.
Whether it be an original game by one of their studios or something they acquired, like hey, this big game coming out next year. Well, guess what? It's on Game Pass as well. I can see that happening. So that would be where I'd be with Microsoft. I just please hope that they show something.
Okay, so
of one of these games.
So to kind of transition away from like Microsoft to other stuff, like Kojima will be here or referenced at some
Kojima
point.
will be here,
or he'll be like,
talk
"Hello,
about his
Jeff's on." But is it the Xbox game, or is it Death Stranding 2? Because that's already kind of out there.
I think it's Death Stranding 2.
But I don't think do you think it actually is Death Stranding 2, or it's like...
I don't think it's called Death Stranding 2,
no.
but I think it is either a sequel to it
or
they'll refer to it they'll refer to it as a spiritual successor.
Oh.
But the fact that I think it's a sequel, and the reason I think it's a sequel is because he purposely went out, and this will be a minor spoiler for Death Stranding.
It's past.
But it's past this point. The end of that game, it is confirmed that the kid you are carrying around is your daughter.
Right.
And he purposely got that Ellie Fanning girl to be the star of this game.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense to me. There's your Death Stranding 2. I don't think it's called Death Stranding 2. I think it's called something completely
Do you think
different.
it's as full of a game, or is it like a shorter, like this tells a story kind of a thing after?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't know if it's going to be, hey,
he's a weird dude.
For the next 5 years, we're going to get Oil Man trailers, or
maybe you play as her for the first 30 minutes and then you become someone else entirely.
And it's just Norman Reedus again. It's a flashback. I don't know. I think whatever this game is, it is whatever Death Stranding 2 is. Mm-hmm. It's not the Xbox game, because that was just announced that they're doing that project together. There's no way he's ready to show anything on that. Whereas whatever he's been doing the last couple of years, he's ready to show that. And I think it's Death Stranding 2. So, but I think when it comes out, I hope here's my hope. This is what I want. I want it to be like when they originally showed off that trailer at the Game Awards like a decade ago, when it was the announcement of Metal Gear Solid 5, but it was not shown as Metal Gear Solid 5. It was just shown as a game called The Phantom Pain, and that made people go
because he just likes nuts to fuck with people.
Because people like put that all together in a matter of hours. I want something that level.
Do you think he comes out
like,
and
here's this crazy shit?
Hey guys, it's me, Kojima, from Blue Box Studios. I'd love to show you my game.
Oh my god! That I'd be into.
That would be the ultimate fucking swerve, where it turns out everyone was right the whole time.
I would love everything about that if that happened. I don't think that's happening.
It's not real, but it's nice to live in a world where that could be real.
But I think whatever is shown, that's what I want. Okay. I want it to be that crazy level of like, what actually is this game? You know, people have to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's what he likes to do. He likes to fuck with people.
Do you think, here's one for you. Do you think this show has any trailer for Spider-Man?
It's tough. Like
not the Wolverine game. That's too far away.
Too far.
Spider-Man, like I did not know this until today.
Spider-Man's 5 years old.
Tony Todd is the voice of Venom. The Candyman dude is the voice of Venom in that game.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's a great fucking.
Well, they recast Harry because they had to age him up.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you've heard more stuff about the game kind of recently maybe that's a show closer. And it shows like a Venom fight in action.
Okay.
You got to start showing some. I mean, Spider-Man 1 came out 5 years ago. Like, you got to start showing something.
Do you think that I can't remember from the first trailer for this game they showed, but do you think this is a game where you're going to switch off playing between Spider-Man and Miles Morales?
Yeah, for sure. There might even be parts where it's like, pick who you want to be, and the other guy's there.
Okay,
he's like hanging around and stuff. So that's cool. I think they do that for sure. I'm excited to see. Like, obviously, it won't be just Venom, so I'm excited to see. Maybe I get my boy Mysterio's in the game.
I would love that.
I would love him. I would love like a Kraven subplot.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like a Sandman thing where like you fight like
go for someone that's not being used right now.
Pick weird dudes. Like the first game was great because like I got, an Electro and Vulture fight at the same time. And a Scorpion and Rhino fight at the same time. Those were cool because you had to manage multiple things at one
Both
time.
of them.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
cool. So like you've done the major guys, like they did Mr. Negative super well. Obviously Norman exists, and like you found part of the mask in the thing. So this
He's
could be
gonna be
like
in this.
Norman and Venom, and
Mhm.
then throwing
That'd be good.
some B team dudes, and I'm happy. So, but yeah, show me something. Give me
I think there's something.
give me a
from that
real
game
look
here.
at Venom, because
Yeah,
in the
not just
the
a
first one is
shadow.
like the shadow and his face kind of comes out. That's a good one. Another thing I was thinking, like a lot of Assassin's Creed Mirage talk in the past like day or so.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because it still has not been like, I mean, it's official, but it's not like here's what it is kind of a thing.
Right.
And then maybe they cap it with our Sands of Time trailer. Prince
I don't think
Persia.
they're going to talk about Sans Trying. I think if they're going to talk
That-
about
that
anything,
game's
it's Skull
fucking
and Bones
gone.
again.
Skull and Bones. Fuck that game. Dead Island 2 is supposed to have stuff soon, so maybe they'll have a trailer there.
They'll do something about
You're
that.
going to get a weird, like, Nintendo will show something. It won't be Zelda, but they'll do...
They don't need to show any more Zelda to sell it.
No, they don't. But there's, like I said, the one year it was like, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is coming out. You're like, oh, excuse me,
There's
what?
going to be something that you
bizarre.
don't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That you're just like, wait, what? This is exclusive
Yeah,
to the
and then-
Switch? It's going to be something like that.
yeah, it's EA will drop something. I mean, do they have anything even remotely interesting? Mass Effect, maybe?
Skate 4.
Oh, that's a good one. They should. Once again,
time.
prove it's real.
It's time. I mean, we already know. The thing about Skate 4 is we know now that that game is going to be a free-to-play game.
Right.
So,
Right.
and they're going to do a beta test on it. I could easily see them coming out and saying, hey, we're going to start a beta test at this month next year,
Well,
or this period
yeah.
next year.
EA is also a company that
So-
loves to be like, the beta test is live now. And they do that
I
shit.
could do
They've
that.
done
I could
in
see
the
it.
past.
I could see it. They could easily put together part of whatever city they're making for that game and have people beta test that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all it needs to be. Doesn't need to be anything fancy.
The game's supposed to be glitchy like Goat Simulator, so
Well,
like it could be that way.
I'm trying to think of like other things that would be big news.
I wonder, because we got it last year, do you think you see more of that announced Wonder Woman game?
I don't know. Maybe more Suicide Squad.
Was there an extended? There was an extended trailer for Suicide Squad last Game Awards, right?
I think
I
so,
feel like
because
there
that was
was.
the one where they're like,
Okay,
here's what it actually
and
is.
Yeah.
and it's been pretty silent on
Well,
that
ever since
game,
it got
ever
delayed.
since they announced
Yeah.
delayed. Yeah. So it's probably, and now Gotham Knights is out. We don't have to talk about Gotham
Right.
Knights. So now I would say is the time they can maybe peek their heads up and say like, here's more Suicide Squad. I don't know if they would announce a date, but sometime maybe they announce like a window, like summer 2023. I could see something
I don't
like
know.
that.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like they
think
don't
you-
want to put a date on Suicide Squad again until it's
I
done.
think you can get more
Yeah.
footage of it though.
Yeah.
It's been long enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Maybe they show a mission.
I can see
or something.
that.
I don't know.
That'd be
Wonder Woman,
cool.
I
I
don't
can
know.
see something like that.
There was nothing on it last time other than, yeah, we're doing it.
wasn't it just they showed like her doing the arm cross thing and then it said Wonder Woman?
Pretty
I feel
much.
like that was what the
yeah, it
trailer
wasn't
was.
much.
I think since you mentioned EA and because it's a month away at the time that the Game Awards will be there, they'll talk about Dead Space remake.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now that Callisto Protocol is out, they're going to want to start,
Right.
talking about, hey, here's our Dead Space.
Here's the
remake,
original
you know?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think you'll get some stuff about that.
Trying to think if there's anything else that would be like, that
I
would
think
make
you get
sense.
more. I mean, obviously, I feel like there will probably be some more footage shown of Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
they could do that.
Do you think you see more footage of the Silent Hill 2 remake, or do you think that's just underground for?
I think that's underground
months.
until there's more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas
all the
Resident
stuff.
Evil, that's really easy. They literally they can show 30 seconds of that game,
Right.
and people will be like, oh, like, so I could see that more than Silent Hill. Where Silent Hill, I just feel like that thing was just like what, a month ago. I just don't think there's more to talk
No,
about.
I don't
Yeah.
think there is. They showed a lot of
So-
different like shots, and that was pretty much it.
Do you think? Here's one dark horse one I'll throw out there. Do you think you get a remake announcement of any other game here?
Oh,
Metal
like a
Gear
remaster
Solid.
or remake of something.
Yeah,
That would be
something
a good.
that
That would be a
people
good swerve
aren't expecting.
for Kojima to be like, and we're remaking Metal Gear 1. Like that would blow people's minds.
If
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll ever work.
They'd
with
have to
them again,
remake.
that's the thing.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
problem.
True.
But I could see a situation where because like it's been rumored forever that Blue Point is making that, remake of Metal Gear 1. I could see that being announced here.
They could
I
do
would
that.
be down for that.
Maybe this is where we finally get the. It's 10 seconds and it's the Bloodborne remake.
I mean, it's clear that they're doing something.
Kids want it. Kids want it more than anything else.
I could also see it being a situation where it's like, here's 10 seconds. Hey, Bloodborne remake sometime 2023, and then after that,
Bloodborne 2,
like, also Bloodborne.
And then
2,
there's like it comes up and there's like a 2 that gets written after.
Because the other thing I read either yesterday or today is that whatever next game From Software is working on right now is almost done.
It's got to be Bloodborne 2.
So, and we'll go fucking nuts for that. I would go nuts for that. I love Bloodborne.
That'll sell immediately. So
amazing game.
I think that's Bloodborne remake /2 is definitely in the cards. This may not be true, or I might not be remembering it. Isn't the Ken Levine working on a BioShock something?
I can't.
It goes back and forth
because it's like it goes back and forth where it's like, I keep hearing about how amazing BioShock 4 looks, and then it's like, is that actually happening or not? Ken Levine, I don't think, is working on it because he has his own studio. He left.
But I thought there was something about like he was, I don't know, but like it's time for a new BioShock game for sure.
It's time to announce it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hearing about the rumors.
Right.
If there was a show that it would be announced, because I think even way back when BioShock Infinite was announced, wasn't that at a Game Awards?
I think so.
So that remember it was that super long 8-minute trailer. So
where it was like the whole like an opening kind of a thing.
Yeah,
but it was cool because you got to see like the world and everything.
Yeah, I could see something.
Here's my final guess of something that will happen at the Game Awards, and this is probably true. Do you think you get your Borderlands movie trailer?
Yes.
Right.
How have we not had that yet?
Exactly. But
the movie's done.
It feels like it should exist by now, and like that would be a perfect. This is a perfect place to display it. You can even have Jack Black roll out on stage on like a fucking moped or something. He's like, "What's up, guys?"
I think they would roll out a Claptrap, and then he would come out behind the Claptrap. He'd be like, "And I'm the voice of Claptrap." And Borderlands movie.
Borderlands movie trailer would fit. Really well.
It fits. Yeah. Is that movie gonna be good? I don't know.
That's the kind of thing where I wait to see when it comes out, and then if it looks like it's good, I'll go see it, and if not, I'll wait.
Yeah. Oh, wait. All right. Well, we can move on to emails because it's enough Game Awards talk, but it'll be interesting. That's what, the 8th, I think?
Yeah.
December 8th. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's coming out. It's right around the corner.
December 7th.
I look forward to watching. Okay.
8-hour time? Oof. Okay. Oh, no, that's when voting ends. Sorry. They're December 8th. You're right.
December 8th is when it airs. Yep. Okay. All right. I'll be watching. I watch every year.
Watch every year. It'll be fun to watch. Got to see what it is.
So we'll move on. We'll move on to our emails here. The first one that we have here, we kind of already talked about this, but this comes to us from Greg from Cambridge, Massachusetts. He says, "Hey guys, was curious about your thoughts on the ongoing, never-ending back and forth between Sony and Microsoft over Activision. Specifically, do you think the FTC will block this deal? Thanks." I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier. Yeah. Like you said, I think it'll initially get blocked for something stupid, and then there'll be some behind doors agreements, and then it'll be fine.
Sony will get a kicker and everything. They're fighting it to fight it just because they want.
There's no way. I don't think there's a world in which this does not go through at all.
Not eventually.
I think it will.
Like I said, some other country just said, yeah, whatever.
Could it get delayed further into 2023? Absolutely.
For it to help.
Absolutely. But that's what Sony wants.
That's what they want. I think they realize that it's probably inevitable. But I'll say this: if the FTC doesn't allow this to happen, but they allow stuff like the Ticketmaster shit to continue to happen, then they're really working a double standard here because you already the Ticketmaster stuff is outrageous and arguably a hell of a lot worse than anything Microsoft could even dream to pull off.
Absolutely.
So if they're okay with that, they're gonna leave that alone. You can't tell me Microsoft buying a company that makes video games is the problem. Especially when Tencent is buying everyone, when Embracer Group is buying everyone. How come it's only Microsoft is the only problem when they do that?
For sure. Next email we have comes from Dave from Austin, Texas. He says, "Hey guys, do you think that with every delayed game that 2022, or with every delayed game in 2022, do you think that 2023 could be the next 2008 for video games, where we have just hit after hit come out and be as good as can be, or do you think more games in 2023 get pushed back to 2024?" Do I? I don't know if we're ever going to have a year like 2008 or that era. I would argue 2007 was bigger than 2008, but I don't know if we're ever going to have an era where we get hit after hit like that, because that was kind of crazy. But I do think a lot of the games that have been delayed at this point are going to have to come out next year, because some of these games, and I'm not talking about things like we talked about earlier, like Avowed or anything, but like some of these other ones, like they need to get out. They need to get it out the door. They've been held on too long, and it's time.
It's just one of those things where like stuff is still going to keep getting delayed, and it's going to keep getting delayed at the last minute. It just happens all the time. So there's nothing you can do to stop it. But I don't think we'll ever hit a point where like it's massive quality stuff release after release after release, because like I said, like the Hogwarts game is going to be, it looks good. People are going to want it, but man, like that has to get released. Suicide Squad has to get released. But the thing is, like, we don't know if these games are good. Like, who the hell knows?
The other thing I'll add to it too, like, and it's different now than it was in 2008. Like, video games today go on sale way faster than they ever have before. Look at the two examples I'll throw up of this fall. The most ridiculous one, Sonic. Sonic was not out for an entire week. It was 4 days, and it hit some stores $35.
Gotham Knights has already been on sale.
Gotham Knights is the other one I'd put out there, is half off now a month later, but Sonic is the worst one, because it's like literally 4 days after it came out.
It's funny too, because by all accounts, everybody likes that game quite a bit.
I haven't heard really anything negative about Sonic Frontiers. So I got my, $30 copy. At some point I'm going to play it, but it's just tough to say. It's ridiculous now.
We also live in a time now where I don't want to say it's more acceptable that things get delayed, but with just like in 2008, you weren't downloading everything. You weren't streaming everything. No. Like things had to come out physically to sell. Like now it's like, well, I digitally pre-ordered it and I'll just play it when it unlocks. Exactly. But like, you can't tell me that just because Dead Island 2 got delayed again into next year that it's going to be good. Or or Final Fantasy 16. They could come out and say, June, and then it's all of a sudden it's August, and then it's September, and they're like, well, we got to wait and we got to work on it until January. You never know anymore. Things get delayed weeks before they come out.
Exactly. Our next email here, scroll down here, comes from, we got a GameStop email. So Ben from Redacted. This one's specifically for you, Dan.
Okay.
Says, hi guys, GameStop manager here. Question for Dan. When you worked at GameStop, how did you source people for the holidays?
Oof.
My DL wants me to hire at least 4 people for the holidays, and I just think that it's a complete waste of time. This is after I already hired 2 people for Black Friday, and one of them flaked out and did not show. What was your experience in trying to fill such a stupid quota? Thanks.
This was a problem every year. Like every
4
single
people
year.
is crazy.
4, like that's how it would always come down. They would come down and they'd be like, okay, well, here's based on projections and based on what you did last year, this is how many people you have to hire. I remember one year my number was supposed to be like 6. And I flat out told him, I said, you're nuts. Because the problem was I already have a staff of probably 6 people at the time, because it would have been me, you, assistant, other third key, and then our 2 GAs. And then sometimes I even had like an extra GA who would like work like once every couple weeks. Like, that kind of stuff.
Again, the other thing about our store is everybody wanted to work.
Well, and that's the other problem. So you want me to hire 6 people to give people who I have to train almost on the fly. And this is like, remember, this is at the time, not like now.
The busiest part of the year.
But I'm saying not like it is today, where like we actually kind of had hours. And we actually kind of had ways to overlap. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
No,
we had an assistant who was guaranteed his full amount of time. And then we had you and my other guy who I pushed to get, 25 as best as I could.
That was kind of where we were.
But with the 4 of us would take up almost all of the hours, to the point where like the one GA would work a couple days a week and he had another job. The other GA would work a couple days a week. And she was, at the time, didn't need to work.
No.
And so like, but when holidays would hit, it's like all of my people want to work 40 hours. I'm going to give it to them.
And they're all trained and ready.
They're all trained and ready to go. I can trust all of them in the store. So you get a thing where it's like hire 6 people. It's like, I'm going to do 3. And that's too much. But how would I source these people? I mean, realistically, you have to start kind of super early, and you realistically have to look for people just to fill out apps. I would a lot of times it would be like customers who I liked, or I would always I had my clipboard full of apps, and every so often I would go through and I would just read through them, and if they were how do I say it politely, Kyle? If they clearly weren't going to be a good fit, then skip it. But anybody who seemed like a normal person based on their application, I'd give them a phone call and be like, look, here's the deal. I really only need someone to work a couple times. If it works out, maybe I can find you a spot at this store or another store or something.
The biggest selling point you could give is the discount.
It's a discount. Like, are you going to be shopping here? Yeah. I really just need you to stand here for 4 hours. Yeah. I would try to get people I knew. Like, I hired ex-managers a couple times. Yeah. I kept them on staff just as like a body. I actually did it after I left. I did it for a friend. I was a holiday GA for a buddy of mine at his store. It was basically to fill a quota. It really stinks because it really comes down to like just trying to ask customers you like, hey, would you want to work a day where you just kind of stand up front and you can get your games at a discount for a month and a half? Because it's never going to be about the pay, because it's minimum wage, 3 shifts. They'll try to tell you like go out and like try to go to other places and like look for a place. Don't waste your time. Like, do not. No. That is not beneficial to anyone because it's not going to work.
It's not.
I kept applications for a really long time, and if there were somebody who
we did.
But if it was somebody who I kind of liked, or like people who worked there, like the one year I hired the one girl, it's like she's like, hey, my friend would do it. Excellent. And then her friend turned out to be great too. So it's like I had those two. Yeah. And so it's like, just people because realistically you're just filling bodies. They're never going to come by. Your DL's never going to meet half of these people.
No, absolutely not.
But like 4 is such a ridiculous number. It's
a high number.
Because those people don't do anything. I never wanted them on register.
No.
Except for I did the one girl I did because I was like, you could just stand here and do this. And she caught on pretty quick. But you don't want those people to register. Half the time, 90% of the people that apply to work at a GameStop have 0 social skills. Like they cannot talk to anyone. And that is, especially if you're not going to be ringing stuff up, you're going to be on the floor. You need that as like a social skill. We would get, I would get apps from some of the worst customers we had. Multiple of these people. I'm not going to say them out loud, but like
I know
they would want to work there and be like, go to hell. Like you'll never work here. I'll die before you work here. And even then, I'll burn the building down with me so you can't. It's a lot of like screening and just hoping that you get the right customers. If it's a customer you see all the time and like they're friendly with you and they're not annoying and they don't hang out all day and ask you questions all day while you're trying to do work, just like, hey man, you do me a favor, you'll get a discount, and it's just a name in the system, and then you get you get paid for the 8 hours you work for minimum wage. But don't stress yourself. Like really don't do guerrilla marketing kind of stuff and out there like
don't do that.
That's a waste of your time.
It is.
And I love this because I hired 2 for Black Friday and one of them flaked. Yeah, that sounds right. That happened to us.
Absolutely.
Like it happened every year. Like there was always the other thing was like, you'd hire 4 people, 2 would show up and you just leave them in the system because it's like, there's a quota, but
that's what you already said. You already said in the email is that he hired 2 people before Black Friday and one of them didn't show up.
That's how it works.
And that sounds accurate.
I had that happen one year where 2 people didn't show up. And you know what? It didn't matter because
it was just like, hey Kyle, do you want to work a couple more hours?
Do you want to just stay for like 2 more hours? Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Just don't go over 40 and we're all fine.
We had a pretty, like we didn't care.
Those were the good times of the year. Well, because the other thing was like, I was working 6 days a week because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So like,
you didn't have
you don't have enough hours for 4 extra people. Why would they expect this?
No. Yeah. Exactly. Next email. We've had this question before. I can't remember if we had this question with Matt.
It was a long time ago.
I know we had it with our previous third chair.
Woohoo.
This comes to us from Arnett from Nashville, Tennessee. He says, "Hi guys, love the podcast. Was curious, without going into too much detail, what y'all do for day jobs. Obviously, Dan and Kyle no longer work for GameStop. I've been listening for just a little bit, so I'm not sure if this has been asked before. Thanks. It has. I don't remember when it was asked.
It was a while ago.
I would say nothing has changed about it.
So real quick, just to explain like how we left. So at one point,
I left before you.
Kyle left before I did, and I left because the store closed. And then when the store closed, my boss came to give me the news. It was like the day after. Was it Black Friday?
I think it was right after Black Friday.
It was like Black Friday or whatever. And he was like, "Hey, can we go somewhere and talk?" And like normally when your DL says that kind of shit to you, like, you're like, A, who am I firing? B, am I getting fired? And then so like there was a Jimmy John's in the parking lot. We walked over there. And he was like, "I'll buy something." I was like, "Yeah, just give me something to drink. It's fine." He's like, "I'm just letting you know, like your store's closing, at the end of the year." And I was like, "Okay." Like the writing was on the wall because we had our shitty landlord. And he told me, he was like, we came at him. We wanted to stay for 3 years, and he basically told us no. And I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense," because I pissed him off for too long. And so he offered me. The important thing was he told me I could stay. He was like, "If you want to stay," he was willing to fire someone else or demote someone else or whatever he was going to do. But at one point, he literally said he would get rid of him. And he would be like, and you could just take over his store. But that store ended up being like 45 minutes from where our store was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really need to think about that. I need to talk to my wife about it. And because she was pregnant at the time with my second kid. And it's like, I don't know how that's going to work if I have to drive an extra hour to work every day. And, we talked about it. And, because I'd been there for so long, my severance was the max. And it was just like, you know what, man? I think I'm out. I'll just take the severance. He's like, "Yeah, I don't blame you." And then Kyle had already started working at this other place, like kind of close by.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much like Kyle was like, "I can get you a job now if you want it." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And that job was okay. I have problems.
I would say some days.
Yeah, I would say. Well, for the most part, it was fine. There was one person in particular who ruined it for the both of us because he's just a complete ass.
Yeah.
And then the company also has a bizarre, I don't know, way they do business. I guess you would say
not a good way to do business. Yeah. I'd say the thing that kept me there at that job for longer than I should have been.
Same.
The people.
Yeah.
We had a really good, like, at our level and then the very direct next level to us, all great people. It was anything above
really
that.
It was one supervisor who was a nightmare.
And then I think the thing for me that did it for me at that job was that, we both were working at that job when the pandemic started. Then we had to transition everything to working from home. Mm-hmm. And then it just became this ridiculous of like, I have this manager basically yelling at me to do shit through text messaging because I didn't use a phone at the time for what I was doing at the job. So, and I just got to the point where like, I need to be done here and move on. So I went and did something else for like a year, and then that company wasn't very good either.
It was worse, arguably worse.
It was arguably worse, and I ended up I should have done this, but I would never do this again, but I got permission from my girlfriend. It's like right after I bought a house and everything. I couldn't do it anymore, and I went to her one day. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
That's kind of what I did too.
Yeah. And she's like, if you need to just be done, be done. And so we kind of had an agreement where it was like, you have I'll take a month here. If I don't find anything, then I'm just gonna have to go out and get a retail job or something because I have a mortgage to pay.
Right.
I have bills to pay. I got really lucky. I spent 2 weeks just maxing out applications everywhere I could on the internet. So where I currently work now, and I'm obviously not going to say the name of it, but and that's how I met Matt here, and he also works there as well. We started at the same time. We both work IT support for a prominent insurance company. So, but I will say, unlike my previous jobs, it's really cool. All the people that I work with are really awesome. It's a small team in a very, very large company, which I like.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of working for mid-level businesses. It's just, there's too much of the there's just too much scuttle between like maybe family that runs a business or something. That's not the case with where we work.
what's the word I'm thinking
Nepotism.
of? Well, there's
That's the
that.
word I was
That was a
thinking
big
of.
problem at the one company you and I both worked at.
Yes,
That was
it
a
was.
massive
It was
problem. But then what's the micromanagement, which is something that I put up with too much at Game Crazy and GameStop.
I don't have any of that where I work.
But like
now.
I put up with too much of that there, and then to go to another job that had that too. And then I actually went to that other place where Kyle worked kind of in between for a little bit, and I got fired for breaking my ankle because I had to take the day off of work.
Yeah, that place sucks.
Yeah,
so.
I literally broke my ankle. Texted my supervisor at the time, said I have to go. Like my ankle is broken, and then I got an email from the owner saying like this isn't going to work out. I'm like, okay, fine. And then I started kicking around, and then long story short, I work for my uncle. It's a retail shop, but I'm not forward facing. I'm in the back doing websites and tech,
which is the best place to be.
Yeah, but like I spend my day like doing websites and tech stuff and updating products and inventory and shipping and like honestly, man, like I put my headphones on and I just kind of do my shit all day.
Yeah,
and it works. And that's I'm not gonna brag about anything or whatever. But since I took over that, our website's doubled revenue. Like
that's what's up.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like we're busier than we've ever been. So like it's just I'm much better at back end stuff. Like and I'm just done with retail. Like in general. Like,
I'm done with retail.
GameStop killed it, and it wasn't.
It did,
and it was because of certain people. Like my DM at the end, the one who gave me the news that it was out. I like that guy a lot. Like that guy. We would have been friends had he been another manager and stuff. But like the guy before him. Is a nightmare and is still a nightmare. I've heard stories about that guy since that are just like prove what a piece of shit he is still. Even after getting fired from GameStop, he's still pulling the same fucking scams. But I'm a lot happier now. I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I don't work weekends.
Yeah, and that's the same here. I'll say the last thing I'll say about me, and I'll let Matt talk because I don't know how much you have to say because we work for the same place. But the other great thing for me is that for me it's permanent work from home. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm done commuting to an office. That's the one thing I thought of the other day is like because my girlfriend currently has a cold and I haven't gotten it, which is amazing. But I thought the other day is like and I never got COVID during the pandemic, which thankfully I never did. But I haven't been sick in 3 years. If I was still working in that office, I probably would have been sick. If you were working at the place,
you were working at the place where we were working when that hit, everyone would have been sick all the time.
Everyone would have had it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was awful.
Like I can't stress enough how great working from home is. So, and Matt, you can attest to it as well. But and it works well for my girlfriend and I because like she works overnight and I work during the day. But someone is always here. I got one. We've talked about. I have one cat that's battling cancer, so somebody needs to kind of be around for that.
Yeah.
And we have one dog that's very anxiety driven when nobody's here. So it's good that at least somebody is here at all times that can deal with that. And she just had surgery recently, so that makes it even more of a nightmare at times. But yeah, that's the last thing I'll say about I'm super happy where I work now. So, Matt, whatever you want to add.
Yeah, I got nothing. Let's go.
No, you're kind of in the same boat that I'm in. So
yeah, I mean, I enjoy working from home. I am normally with my toddler all the time, which is kind of good. So we got a diagnosis for him that he's actually on the spectrum for autism, which is pretty good. I mean, I'm glad I got it because now we know how to help him going forward. Mm-hmm. But I'm also in the aspect of like, I'm glad I am working from home because I don't think sending him to a daycare would be beneficial for him before we got this diagnosis. So like, I'm really cool with that. Like, I think I appreciate the fact that I get to work from home. And like Kyle was saying, the company that we work for is just like, it's a pretty predominant company, but like our team is just so tightly knit. Like it's just really cool to be able to like know I don't not necessarily know them, but like just feel like you're comfortable talking to them if you need to talk to them. You know what I mean? Oh, that's how I like it.
Complete opposite.
Absolutely.
Working at a GameStop.
Oh yeah.
100%.
How can I solve this problem without having to rope in anyone higher than me? That was a common thought I had pretty much every day. And then you kind of figure out what you can and can't get away with. And
next email we have comes from Ken from Cincinnati, Ohio. This is an interesting one. It says, "Hi guys, I was curious for those of you that own both systems, how do you choose what to play multi-platform games on? Do you have a preference?" So I think, Dan, you only have a PS5. You don't have a Series X.
PS5
You have the old
and a Switch and a One X.
Yeah.
And but I've always, until this generation, I've always had everything.
Yeah.
So
I have everything, PS5, Series X. I mean, I'll say right now, if the preference is one of the big boy systems and the Switch, I'm going to pick one of the big boy systems just because the Switch is 6 years old now. For me lately, and it just kind of carried over since last generation, I mostly play everything I can on the Xbox. It's just what I'm comfortable with, like controller wise. There are certain games that I like the controller on PlayStation more for, like anything Dark Souls, any Souls game, I'll play on PlayStation. To me, it's just an automatic PlayStation experience. Anything that's a fighting game, PlayStation. The D-pad. Like even with how the D-pad has improved with the Xbox controller over the years, I will still pick that PlayStation D-pad anytime over it. Anything that's a fighting game, without question. But pretty much anything else, like horror game, like Callisto Protocol, for example, that's coming for the Xbox. Evil West, I'm playing that in the Xbox. Like mostly it'll be Xbox. I found more too, like when I first met my girlfriend, like she's pretty much a PlayStation person. She's mostly an Xbox person now, and it's most of it's because it's Minecraft. But Minecraft. So, but for me, and that's just what it is. I mean, and the funny thing is, the one person that I predominantly talk to the most on Xbox Live, I just use Discord for now. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. We use Discord through the Xbox now, since you can do that. But yeah, it's pretty much, it just comes down to me. It comes down to controller preference and
that's the big
what
part.
I'm comfortable with.
Yeah,
that's the biggest part for me. Or if it's like Dan and I want to play Outriders, well, Dan only has a PS5, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you and I decide like kind of ahead of time, like what we're gonna get. I mean, we just
like eventually you and I will play Gotham Knights. When eventually, the game has 800 patches and
eventually I'll own a Series X at some point. It just hasn't. I don't need one yet.
No, exactly.
There will be a game that proves that point, like Starfield might do it.
Yeah.
But I've always so controller's a big thing because like if you go back to like the 360 and PS3 era, the PS3 controller sucks. Like it's not good.
It was good for fighting games,
but that's it though. But it's light and it feels cheap.
It did.
PS4 finally fixed that to the point where I finally started to see myself kind of go more that way. Also because certain games have a very specific, like, this is an Xbox game, this is a PlayStation game feel to me. Like RPGs, those are PlayStation games to me. Like they just are.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But like shooters were always Xbox. Sports was always Xbox. Especially back when you get to like the PS2 Cube and Xbox days, it's like so I own a Cube to play Nintendo games. I own a PlayStation 2 to play RPGs and baseball at the time, and then I own an Xbox so I can play shooters and other games like that. Like they just kind of fell into a fit. When it came to this generation, it was, well, an Xbox Series X really isn't a huge leap over a One X right now at the time when they came out.
At the time,
but a PS5 finally seems like it's a step up from what PlayStation had done because they did the stopgap with the Pro in the middle, and then they kind of jumped it up. And it was
and the other thing I would say for the PlayStation at the time is, and that's the big key here, is there were exclusive
games
only.
Exactly.
Yeah, Demon's Souls remake only on PS5.
So it was easy for me to get that, and then through this generation, I've gotten back into. I used to be a big achievement guy in the original days.
You're back into trophies.
Now I've gotten into trophies more. So it's like, I'm not going to need an Xbox until Indiana Jones finally comes out and Starfield, Perfect Dark finally. When the games that really want to play on Xbox actually come out, that's when I need one. And then a Switch I have because you need one, but it's not like like you said, I would never pick something on the Switch over another system
unless it's a first party game. Or something that I know, like for a prime example, I mean, one of the best games I've ever played on the Switch, and it's on everything, is Stardew Valley.
Right,
great way to play that game.
But that's a game that
it's going to run fine.
Switch. Right?
It does.
Yeah.
So, whereas like if it's like some first person shooter or something, like I don't want to play that on the Switch. So
no.
But yeah, I mean, biggest thing for me now, it comes down to controller preference.
Yeah, so, I really like the DualShock 5 like a lot.
It's really good.
My Elite controller for the Xbox, I've told you there's something wrong with it.
There's something wrong with Elite controllers in
they're
general.
just not like I like them because they're hefty and like the being able to switch stuff out. But I told you mine is like weirdly like sticky, and I don't really use it that much.
I will say on the flip side of that, the Series X version of controllers are fantastic.
Yeah,
I
love regular ones. Yeah,
really good. Never had a problem with like stick drift or anything like that, where I have in the past with other controllers. So I don't think I've had any problems. I have two DualShock 5s. I don't think I've had that problem.
My original white one has a sort of a weird X button.
Sort of a weird?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can feel the difference between the two.
Gotcha.
Anything you want to add, Matt?
Nope. I don't really play with anybody anymore. So I think my preference is more my PlayStation. Just because that's what I've always played. So like the controller and me get along better. But I would say now I play more on my Xbox just because I've gotten into Game Pass.
If it's on Game Pass, I was going to say.
Exactly.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah, when it comes to multiplayer games, I play more of those on the PlayStation than I do anything else.
Yeah.
That was another big reason I played a lot of Xbox like One over PS4 for a long time was carryover from like everybody I knew had an Xbox and we played games together, like Destiny and stuff like that.
Even in the beginning of the PS4 era, when you had to start paying
Xbox
for
Live,
PlayStation Plus,
Xbox Live worked.
Xbox Live was better.
PlayStation Network didn't for a long time.
Yeah,
and now they're the fucking same thing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, now it doesn't matter. They both work pretty well. Well, we got a follow up from our last episode from Tyrone from Redacted.
Excellent.
It says it's pretty short, but it says, "Hey guys, thank you for taking my email last episode. I really appreciate all the tips and everything that Dan gave me. The sad news is, I was ready to hand out tickets. We had no one when we opened. I was expecting a small line at least, but nothing for the first half hour when we were open. I will say that the day did get busy, and the tip about having the most popular game stocked behind the counter at all times, which was Call of Duty this year, really did help. Thank you again. Good to see that it went well.
I'm happy it went well.
I expected.
Yeah, I'm obviously bummed that like you couldn't use the ticket system because that is like the number one tip, but it just proves that Black Friday is different. Like,
exactly.
Sales start a week or two earlier. Like, you don't need to be there day one.
You know, it was even crazier this year for Black Friday. Is like I was waiting for Black Friday to buy stuff on Amazon.
Nothing changed.
I was done by Wednesday because everything went on sale right away by like Monday. So
you didn't have to wait for Black Friday for stuff. Yeah.
No, it was super bizarre. So
exactly.
We got another GameStop email. This is from Grant from Redacted, also about Black Friday. Since we put out the call last week for people to email it about their Black Friday experiences. This sounds similar. Hi, guys. Just wanted to email in. GameStop manager here. Black Friday was extremely weak this year. This is my 10th Black Friday overall, 6th as a manager. And while we had periods of steadiness, I opened to no line. The two big sellers this year for me were Call of Duty and the new Pokemon, as well as the Switch bundles. We had a few PS5s, which I really thought would bring a line before we opened, but I actually had them in stock until mid-afternoon. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean...
Black Friday really just isn't what it used to be. I think the pandemic killed it. I would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. It changed how everything worked.
Very much so.
Also, most people do their Christmas shopping online now, which honestly they should. Mm-hmm. It gave me and my fellow coworkers a break this year, so that was nice. Saturday was actually busier, but it was a lot of people complaining that we didn't have any Switch bundles or PS5s in stock. So go figure. Thanks again, guys. Love the podcast. I mean, I'll say this, like, I never really go on Black Friday. I had to go to the grocery store this year, so I got to at least drive down the main drag where I live. Mm-hmm. And, like, stores were busy, but it didn't seem crazy.
No. Yeah, I want to say that, like, like Black Friday, even like Saturday, it's like I had to go to Walmart on Saturday for something else, and I was like, we'll kind of poke around and just see. And, like, it just seemed like a normal day at Walmart. Like, it wasn't like... This isn't a thing anymore. Like, companies amp it, but because they're amping the online sales.
What happened in the past? Right. Yeah. Online sales.
I will say I'm a little shocked there was no line because you figured there'd be 3 or 4 people for PS5s.
I don't think every store got PS5s.
Probably not.
That's the thing.
I mean, probably not. So, that's not how it works anymore. But even still, like, I remember, I mean, this
Remember
is
the
10
last
years
Black
ago.
Friday you and I worked together? There was nobody when we opened.
Well, I think a huge problem with that too is the hours change every year. It's
They
not
do.
like
Yeah.
every Friday, every Black Friday at 5 we're open. It's like that's midnight. Well, it's 2. No, it's actually
Yeah.
1. But no, then we're gonna close. So 7, and then this year we didn't do it. So maybe next year it should be 4. Like they
Yeah, it kept
changed.
changing.
Yeah, like it should. GameStop should just 5 a.m. done
Yep.
every fucking year, 5 a.m. But yeah, Saturday being busier makes more sense. Like, more people are arguably off on Saturday than on Friday, even though it is like
Mhm.
Black Friday. And like,
Yeah.
they're just out now. They're out looking to see what kind of is left over. But like for
For
people
sure.
to bitch about not having PS5s and Switches, like, oh, fuck off. Like, come
you
on.
know
We were
that's
open
the first
yesterday.
thing
Why
that's
would I
gonna
have them
go,
today? Go to hell.
especially PS5s.
Come on.
Exactly. I'll say this: I since I had to go out and go to the grocery store, Black Friday, great day to go to the grocery store.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
The grocery store over by me, always busy.
Dead.
Like we have to wait in the line every time. I told my girlfriend this is the first time I ever been in this grocery store. People were waiting to pull you into their
Yeah.
line.
Oh, like at the front thing.
It was amazing. There's like 2 other people in the store when I went there. I'm like, this is amazing. So there was nobody there. But like I drove by like Meijer, we have a Kohl's over here, Walmart. They seem steadily busy, but it didn't look any different than a normal.
Anything
It never
crazier.
looked like, because I looked at the Best Buy's close to where I work, and I looked at it, and it just seemed
Yeah.
like it was like, oh, more.
I'm sure there
more
were people camped
are
out,
there
but-
than normal. Well, yeah, but those people are like for TVs and stuff, because TVs are
Yeah,
the big
it's
Black
always
Friday.
TVs.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
is.
even video games anymore, man. I can get them on
No, it's TVs
Target,
or
Best Buy,
laptops,
Walmart, Amazon,
tablets. Yeah,
GameStop. Like, there's multiple choices.
Mhm. For sure. Final email we got this week. I think this is a cool one. Came from Carrie from Appleton, Wisconsin. Says, "Hey guys, absolutely love the podcast. Was curious about something. A few episodes ago, you had talked about your love for video stores and renting. If you could bring back video stores and the ability to rent movies and video games, would you? I was curious for your thoughts on that. Yes, 100%.
110%.
I drive by in my town, and I've talked about it before on the podcast. It kills me. In the vicinity of where I live now, there are 3 former family videos within 5-minute drive
That's a
distance
bummer.
from me, and it drives me insane. We had to drive by the one today,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend made the comment of like, "Boy, you know that's sad and depressing." I'm like, if it like it's insane.
I work
I would
across
all
the
the time.
street from the old Blockbuster, which is now an Advanced Auto Parts. The other
Even renting a movie,
Yeah.
I would do it.
the other day,
Like-
the other day I drove past, the Hollywood / Game Crazy where I used to work, and it's now a
Mhm.
fucking dentist office.
I was
And I
gonna
was
say, yeah,
driving
it's like a
past it,
dentist
and my
office.
kids in the car. I'm like, hey, that's where I used to work. And they're like, where? I'm like, at dentist office. That used to be like my because they knew I worked at a GameStop, or at least my
Okay.
daughter had visited me there. But they didn't, obviously never met Game Crazy because that was gone in 2009. But it's just like, yeah, that's where I started working.
Well, I didn't even think about it. Your kids probably wouldn't even understand the concept of a video rental store, would they?
No, I had to explain it to them.
That's not something. That's not something they would have
No,
ever.
I had to explain it to them.
Yeah.
it's such a
And
foreign thing. To,
well, the
yeah,
thing is like, is there a huge market for it? And of course not, because
No.
people inherently are lazy, and I'm one of them, and that's fine. But
yeah,
Yeah.
Bigman has killed
if
it.
they were to say that, like, if Hollywood Video fucking reopened tomorrow, I'd go. I would. The thing is like, obviously everything old is new again. Our generation would go.
Yeah,
People above us would not go. People below us might go as like a curiosity kind of a thing.
because people a generation ahead of us didn't have that experience, or if they did, they were too young to remember it.
Yeah.
They're not going to understand that concept of like, why would I do that when I can just turn on
Stream
Netflix and
Right.
watch something, or
But,
pay
like, the video-
$3.99 to rent this
The
digital.
video store was like the thing, man. Like my dad would be like, "Hey, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
go."
God.
My dad loved to watch a movie, so I'm gonna go watch a movie. Or get a
Mhm.
movie. You want to come with? Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Get in there. I just walk up and down the game aisle, and then you go look at like
Well,
old
and that-
classics and stuff, and like
And that was the thing. I said, like, every Friday night I would go rent a game, but we weren't going to the video store because I wanted to
No.
rent a game.
no,
Is
you were
because my
lucky.
parents wanted to go rent 2 or 3 fucking
Yeah,
movies for the
you got
weekend.
lucky.
Yeah.
And I went with to rent a game so I wouldn't bother them while they were watching these
You know what's
There you
crazy
go.
too? You know what's crazy too? We talked about it a little bit before. This is a different point, but like, again, you can't try out games anymore. game demos
No.
barely
Yeah.
exist.
Barely exists.
PlayStation Plus is reintroduces like a concept of like trial stuff, but
I saw that.
how am I supposed to know if I want to play the Callisto Protocol? I got to read stuff. I got to watch people play it on YouTube, but then that spoils
it's a
it.
bummer.
It's like, whereas in the
Yeah.
past, I could pay $8 and play it for 5 days. And
Yep.
maybe
You
sometimes
beat that
it was
game in
enough.
5 days.
But you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that anymore. But I would love to be able to do that again. Or like the other concept of like Netflix. If you think about it, Netflix the way it is now, all they give a shit about is original programming, right?
They don't really care about.
But like old
classic
movies and stuff
Yeah.
are going to disappear. All that stuff's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
disappear. Like
already
how often do you think about like, man, you know what? A movie I want to watch is this, and you look it up. Is it streaming anywhere? Nowhere. It's
Nope.
literally nowhere. How the fuck am I supposed to watch this movie? You cannot get
Exactly.
it anywhere. So
Yeah.
there is a market for it, but I think it would be it's a niche thing, and it would have to be like a pop up. It would cost probably too much to open it. I could see it if you were like a store that like sold VHS and DVDs. You could like institute like a rental thing. Like, oh, we sell classic stuff, but like you could also borrow this movie for a week for
Yeah.
$5.
There's I went down a hole a couple months ago on YouTube of like different video stores that still exist in the United States, like mom and pop ones,
Sure.
which they're still out there.
Mhm.
They still exist and somehow get by. But that's the point. Like even with streaming stuff like Netflix or like I was going to mention HBO. Like when they had all that merger stuff a couple months
Merged
ago,
it.
there are movies that were made for HBO streaming only that are gone.
Mhm.
There's no
Yeah.
way to get them anymore. That remake of the Witches or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
with,
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, that's gone. You can't get that movie anywhere. It's gone. There's no physical copy of it, and it's like it doesn't exist.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's a big
So-
problem
and
with
that's
all
the
this
future
digital.
we're heading
It
towards.
is like video games are close.
So
we're close. I mean, every day
Exactly.
is a step closer to not having physical video games anymore, and that's nuts.
unless it's something that's extremely popular, like Stranger Things, where they're gonna make Blu-rays of it, which they have of the other.
Yeah,
seasons.
what was something
like,
I just saw?
they're not gonna care.
Like they put out something on like Blu-ray. I was like, man, I can't believe they would even bother to release that because like, who's
Exactly.
gonna buy it? But
Yeah.
you think about like what in 10 years if somehow Netflix has collapsed?
Yeah.
Which
well,
could happen.
It could get too big for itself. But yeah, I would love to see him back. Like obviously, there's the one Blockbuster that's still open. That's so popular because it's a still open fucking Blockbuster.
Oh, the one in Oregon.
I
Yeah,
would kill to go to that store. That's awesome.
I would kill to go to it.
I would go there. I would sign up
Very
for a
much so.
membership immediately. And I would rent a movie for the novelty of it. Just like go
I
through
would
and
too.
pick out a movie and rent it, and just be like, "This is I love it. I miss it so much." Like, I miss
yeah.
renting as a kid. I miss working at a place that rented stuff. I didn't work in
Yeah.
Hollywood, but I did. I mean, come on, I
You
did.
were adjacent enough to
But
it.
I miss
Yeah.
I miss like getting new movies in and like them being in their store a week early, and then like we could borrow them beforehand and watch them, and then putting them out
Yeah.
and running movies and people returning stuff and getting new games. Like I just miss that feeling. Like
Yeah.
that feeling doesn't
No, it's
exist. GameStop,
amazing.
shopping at a game store. When I was in high school, you go to an EB Games and it was just games. You just walk through and look at games. That's not what GameStop is anymore. Like those feelings are gone.
No.
And
Games, it's to the point where the wall of games is so minimal compared
do you
to all
know?
the toys.
Do you know
and
that
other
there are
crap.
stores, GameStop stores that obviously GameStop considers 360, PS3, and Wii retro now, where
I know that,
there
yeah.
are certain stores that were told to ship out all of those. So there are
I'm not the one in my town. They don't have any 360
Yeah.
games or PS3
Mm.
because I asked
Yeah.
one of the recent times I was in there because I just mentioned I'm like I still collect that.
right.
Oh, we shipped ours out. Yeah.
That's
It
sad.
is what it is. It is where I feel like they should be expanding on that instead of some of the toy stuff. But
Yeah.
because again, there are certain avenues of the toys that they get that shit's gonna sell, but there's a lot of it that does
No.
not, as you and I both know, that does not.
I see things online where it's like, here's my clearance price changes for the day, and the stickers stretch from the front door to the back of the store, and it's just
Remember
like,
some of
fuck,
those
man.
like stupid statues or like here's a fucking Thanos cereal bowl that has like 8 different clearance stickers on it because no one wants to buy this.
Yeah.
And then you have to go on there and try to clean
we
that
get
up.
people.
At some
We would
point.
get other stores that
Yeah.
would ship us their garbage with stickers on top of stuff, and it was
That
just-
was always the worst too, where it's like you finally sell one at like 80% off, and then you get that.
oh, that's a
distro
store that
where it's
sells
like,
Thanos cereal.
oh
bowls.
hell yeah! Here's 16
Yeah.
more of those cereal
I
bowls,
don't know.
man. Hope
I
you sell
actually didn't
them.
mind it when
Jesus,
people
but-
sent us stuff with the stickers on it because I liked peeling them off. There was like a
Well,
it's like an ASMR trigger for me is peeling stickers off of game cases. But
but I wish it really bad.
Yeah.
that
When
they were still here.
This was probably 9 years ago. My wife worked. She got transferred to a store for the place she was working at the time, where there happened to be a family video on the way home, and I would tell her, I'm like, honestly, let's stop and get movies. Like, just get. It was like that's how I could see new movies like right away. Like I have, obviously there's other ways to do that now, but like I would tell her, like, stop and get movies. Get 2 movies. We'll watch them, and we go back to work. We'll bring them back. I loved it. Because I would tell her, like, oh, I really want to see this. Get this. Or, like, get whatever you want to get. Who cares?
I remember, and it wasn't right when I started working at the GameStop, but, like, maybe 2 years in was when that family video opened in the town next to us.
Down the street, yeah.
And I would, again, it was, like, the far enough distance where it's like, I don't really want to rent and have to drive this far to return something. But I would go in there and spend time just looking at everything and buying things.
Right.
Because they would always have, the pre-owned stuff, at decent prices. And so I would do that just to at least.
That was how I built a huge movie collection, was just working there. And like, waiting.
You got discounts.
Well, not only that, but like just waiting, like, hey, man, when's this going to go PV? Previously viewed. Yeah. Oh, and then they would have like the top 20 previously viewed movies. They had these little things they would just set up. It's like, I want this one and this one and this one. And
well, and also you think about like at least back in the day, it's like, okay, the big movie of the week is coming out finally on video.
Big deal.
The store's going to buy like 40, 50 copies of that movie.
Run out of stuff.
And then it's out for 3 weeks. Oh, now we have to, get rid of, 35 of these 40 copies.
And that's what they would do. Yeah, and we had a guy who worked at that store for a little bit. Who was the manager. He was a real shady fucker. But my favorite thing was when a movie would go PV and it'd be $15 or whatever. He'd be like, we got too many of these. I'll make it $5. I'm like, hell yeah. And I'd buy so many movies for $5. And then the best trick was whenever Hollywood would PV the games, they would just transfer them to us so we could sell them previously rented copies for like $45. That was a good
that makes sense.
But yeah, like I would bring it back. I wish if there was one around here, I would still go to it. I would bring my kids to it.
Yeah.
Or for sure.
Like, I think about your kids are never gonna have that experience.
I had to explain to them
and picking out like an animated movie or something. Like they'll never have that. Nope. They just have Netflix.
My kids know how to use Netflix. They know how to use a Roku. They know how to use YouTube. They have Disney Plus. But it's just like for them, it's just like there's so much content at their fingers as opposed to us. Like, you walk up and down.
I would spend hours.
Yeah, I love hours. I would hang out at that place when I was off the clock because I just love being there.
When I would go visit my grandma, she wouldn't even go with me because we had a video store. We had a local one. It was actually run by people that lived down the street from her, up like the hill that she lived on. She went with me like once, and then I spent like 3 hours there. It's got to the point she's like, you can just walk there and do whatever. Give me a couple $bucks. Like I'd literally be gone for the afternoon because there's just so much to look at.
When I was little. Not like little, but when I was like 10 or 11, my old neighborhood had this weird like building at the back where there was like apartments above, but underneath it had Kyle. You know this building. It had a pizza. It had pizza at the time. You don't know the greatest part, but it had a pizza place. It had a comic book / trading card place, and a shitty place just called Community Video. And so we would just walk down there. And I would rent Super Nintendo games from there. They had an adult film section in the back behind it.
Of course, any mom and pop one did.
But
always,
like we would go spend. I'd walk down the street, pick up my buddy, and then we would just ride our bike down there because then across the street was a park and like a baseball field and all this other stuff. Like being a kid, going to a pizza place, a comic book store, a video store, and playing in a park. You can't do any of that anymore at all.
You can't do any of that anymore. No.
My kids will never know what that means. That's a bummer.
It's a bummer. Your kids today, they're not going to know, like, even, like, there's no more of the, like, when should you be home when the street lights come on? Like, that's not a thing anymore.
Oh, God. I was never
As
home.
it was when we were kids.
Oh, it's a thing for me.
I was never home.
And
8 a.m., like, it's summer, like 8 a.m., I was out.
It's sad because I don't, my daughter the other day, she asked me when she could walk home from school, and I said, probably never. Even though it's in my neighborhood. Yeah. Probably never. When I was, as opposed to me at 9 riding my bike across a highway to go to school.
Exactly.
it's just
totally different.
shit's different.
Different
It sucks.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old.
The world sucks today.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That's how we're gonna.
That's how we fix it, though.
The world sucks.
That's how we
today.
fix it, though. We bring back video rental
Yep.
places. That's the start.
There you go.
We
That's all we
reset.
need.
That's the start.
Nature is healing.
There you go. There you go. Well, again, thank you as always for sending in emails. And even still, we have, and I'll just announce this now. We have one more podcast we're doing this year, and then we're gonna take our Christmas break, and we'll be back in January. If you have more, if you're listening to this now, you still have more stories of Black Friday, or anything
Or
like that.
video
Please send
rental
them in.
stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our
For
next
sure.
episode is going to be our picks for our top 5 games.
Game of the year.
Our top 5 games we played this year. We do it a little different. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a game that came out this year. It's just something you played this year and enjoyed. If you would like to submit your game of the year and like a story about why you liked it, please do. We'll read them at the end of the show.
Please do.
So
Oh,
we
for
would
sure.
like to hear, a weird niche title you liked more than other people, or if
Maybe something I've never even heard of.
if God of War is your
Yeah.
favorite game you've ever played, tell me why. Like I
Exactly.
want to know.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're gonna do top 5 game of the year. We would want you to do it too. So
As always, you can send your emails in to podcast572@gmail.com. Otherwise, once again, thank you for listening, and we will catch you in another 2 weeks.
thank you, everyone.
Have a great one.